All right, it says that we're live. Hey, Brett, did you get a chance to see the thumbnails that we posted, or that I posted?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. No worries. That's okay. Hey, everybody, it's me, Adam. It is Saturday, 8:02 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are live. We are here. We've got both DJ, and I need to fix his cam, and Logan on the stream. So, kind of original cast, finally back, I guess you could say. And then we've got our special guest here, Brett Trevino, who is, holy cow, 11 p.m. for the Keen Live. Brett Trevino in Vegas? Yeah, Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas, yeah.
For our slide lines.
The reigning champ.
The reigning champ.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to talk about just the normal things and then get into the whole interview part of things. If you do have any questions, go ahead and put them up in chat. We'll try to answer them as best as we can and feature those chats and all that fun stuff. So just a few announcements. Thank you all that are already in chat. We've got Mile High. We've got the Keen Life. Charles, Brian, Jose. You guys rock. And there were some even before the streams. BCT, Wrong. And Sean Lewis is already here too. And Judd. You guys rock. Super G update. 614, or let's see, that was the update. The next batch of LP86 chassis are arriving in July of 2024. So if you want to get on that next pre-order, you can go ahead and order through them. I'm sure there are other providers as well that are kind of in the same boat. And then July 14th is the next competition for the Oregon STC Series qualifiers. The spec tire is officially LF3s, DS LF3s now. We are on black J tile, so that is fun. That is cool. I finally got to drive on it the other night, so it was great. August 2nd, S-Fest Salem, Fairgrounds, October, Super G Worlds, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All right, so let's get into it. And Logan, if you wouldn't mind, let's go ahead and tag team. DJ, yeah. You can be in there too. Or
yeah,
actually,
I've got
DJ,
a lot of questions.
What are you working on, DJ?
So actually right now, I probably should be waiting, but I'm kind of just assembling the chassis conversion that I got for my RMX, that new Beast Mode Super R.
Nice.
Chassis. So a little buttoned up, a little inventory on the parts, and maybe put it together at least a little bit.
Very cool. Okay, Brett, let's get to you. Can you tell us a little bit, like, just who you are, where you're at, where your shop's at, how can we get to it?
All right. For Slide Lines RC, I'm in Las Vegas. I'm on the exact address is 3111 South Valley View Boulevard, Unit 107. I would say I started drifting probably 10 months before we opened this place. So I've been drifting for about 6.5 years-ish, I would say. And yeah, I've had this place pretty much the whole time. I've been doing this since I got serious.
That's kind of crazy. You went from 0 to 100 really fast on that, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of picked it up pretty quick. Within like 3 months, I was pretty good at it. So I was like, hey, I was trying to get everybody and their mom to try to open an RC shop, but no one would step to the plate. And so I finally just went ahead and did it because I needed a place to drift and to train. So it was for me,
Yeah. That's
just
awesome.
So that I had a place.
You, where were you drifting when you started?
So they were having group meets over at a park called Desert Breeze once a week. And I was drifting with the group. And, I had no idea what I was doing. I bought a couple setups. The first track I ever went to was GGT. And they told me about the group. Because my buddy was like, hey, you got to go check out this track in Cali. And then I went and I was like amazed, And so they hooked me up with the group. And then Yeah, I just went with them once a week, and then just kind of practiced fundamentals like crazy in my garage until I finally got this place open.
Nice. So you is it is it still the only like dedicated drift track in Vegas?
No, there's another track as well. They're called Prototype RC.
Okay.
Super nice track as well.
Cool.
Got good climate control. You know, I like
Yeah.
going there too.
It's
I like
important
going
in
there
Vegas.
too. Yeah, it's nice to have another track to go to. You know, I get tired of my own track driving it every day, so
For
every
sure.
once in a while I get to go over there and, you know, drive on their track.
Sweet.
Nice place. If you guys come to Vegas, you want to visit both.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
drivers at both. So
Vegas is definitely a place on our list of trips to make for sure. What's like the size, like the area of your track, and what surface is it?
So the track is the whole spot is about 1,600 square feet, but I would say that the track itself is probably 1,100 square feet. I mean, I could show you guys right now. I'll show you guys with my
Oh,
track.
sick.
Yeah, take you guys over to take a look. I mean, we utilize the space pretty well.
Gotcha.
Oh, geez.
So most of the places, we got a little bit of pit area here and some pit area right there, but yeah, it's about the same square footage as like GGT if you've ever been there.
Yep. Well, I haven't, but I'm familiar with how big it is.
So
I
how
don't
much?
know if you guys were you guys able to see everything clearly?
For the most
Okay,
part,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, hours of operation? Like, when are you open? How much does it cost to come and play?
It's 7, so we're open Monday. Right now it's summertime hours, so we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m.
There you
Just
go.
because it's extremely hot during the day, and plus most people are working till 5, so no one shows up till 7 or 8 p.m. anyways. So we used to, you know, when we first opened, we'd be open, you know, from 3 p.m. and you know, we'd be dead till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock every day. So that's how we got our hours.
Right on. I got a funny one for you. Okay. So your Instagram kind of makes me laugh because it is just the US RC Drift King. Do you get to pass that on to the next one?
Well, hopefully it'll be him.
I mean,
Yeah, kind of when you are a drift king of the U.S. or whatever. I mean, you never lose that title. So Miko, Alfredo, you know, they're always going to be drift kings of the United States. You know,
gotcha.
so it's just I saw it wasn't taken, and since so many people didn't know that I was the U.S. drift king, I put it on my Instagram so that people know. Because a lot of people that came into the shop didn't realize that I was that guy. So I just put it, and you know, when people see it, they're like, "Oh, okay, this guy's the Drift King." You know,
Yeah.
like I said, it wasn't taken, so I was like, "Sweet."
Smart.
Right on. Now, a lot of us don't know, or maybe a lot of people do know, but you also have a pretty good background in breakdancing, b-boy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, how it's not sorry, but like it's slightly different from what I'm used to hearing, because it's like usually like the fingerboards and whatnot, or crawlers and whatnot, right? I guess what kind of brought you to drifting over to the side of drifting?
You know, I got injured in like serious, like bad injured in 2018, and I just needed something that kind of took over that competitive type of battling and things like that, because in breaking that's all we do.
Mhm.
We do competitions and we battle, and all we do is practice for battling in competitions.
Wow.
So in breaking, we're practicing our rounds, trying to run perfect rounds, no mistakes, no slips, no falls, because that's how it is in competitions. One slip, it's over with, because everyone's trying to break perfect, so it's about perfection. So I came over to the RC drift and I realized, like, oh, I'm actually pretty decent at this, and it's really similar to breaking in that sense.
Really is.
Battling all the time, competitions, about being perfect.
Controlling what kind of risk you're putting out, like
Exactly, like, because the more risk, the more reward, but with that risk comes a lot of
higher chance of failure.
higher chance of failure. Yeah, so it's like in breaking, you'll see a lot of guys, they don't take too many risks, and then you see the risk takers. They're not always winning the comps, but they have the most incredible rounds. So that was something that I kind of had to break free from in RC2, because I was a risk taker in breaking. So sometimes it'd be beautiful, and then sometimes it'd be trash. So I had to kind of break that for myself, with still taking risks, but not over risking.
Yeah.
Before I used to do a lot of, when I first got into it and I was competing, I was over risking a lot.
Mhm.
So it kind of made it difficult to come up through the ranks at first, until I learned how to, control myself better.
Yeah. So how long would you say it took in your drifting career before you were like starting to go to comps pretty confident that you were gonna at least be able to win? Like, how long did it take to go from your first one until you were like, I'm here to win?
So, like, they would do like little local comps and stuff before, we opened this place, and I was actually winning. I won some of them pretty easily. So then when I went to Super G, I always felt like I could get a win. I always felt confident that I could get a win, but like I said, it was about controlling yourself on the lights when the nerves are going, and making sure I'm not running into the guy in front of me, because I already was killer at proximity before I even started to compete. Like, before my first competition, I could already hit the doors. So the no contact rule, and making sure I don't make those kind of mistakes. Competing probably took me about 3 years to really get the hang of it and get the hang of the rules.
Yeah.
And when they changed the rules, like, with the angle matching and the way they do the zones and the scoring and stuff, it kind of put it in perspective. Okay, this is now I know what I need to do. Whereas before in the competitions, there was so much gray area.
Yeah.
Of where you could put the car and things like that. So that was making it hard too, considering I'm trying to be on the guy's door the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now that they've done that, and it's made things a lot easier as far as competing. Knowing where the cars need to go, what I need to do, when a mistake is made, knowing when the mistake was made on their side or my side, and what I need to go and do from there. Like, developing a game plan on the spot. So it's like, example, if I'm chasing first and I make a mistake, and then it's my turn to lead, now I'm not going to sit there and try to gap the guy. I want him close to me. I want to see what he does. I want to see if he's going to tap a wall or run into me, or, you know what I mean? So there's several different ways to play this game, instead of just trying to run off on him when it's like, whoa, I kind of need him there now,
Yeah.
So
it's if you keep them, if you're the leading and you keep them close to you, you're almost giving them more opportunity to make a mistake.
Exactly.
In a way. Interesting.
Because if you run away, then you're not really giving them the opportunity to make the mistakes, and if you tap the wall or you tap them, in order for it to null itself, you kind of need them to make a serious mistake.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you open up the door and they see it, they're like, yummy, and they come and try to snatch that shit up, and when they do, more times than not, they'll just run into you,
Yeah.
So
cool.
So you use your lead lap as more of a like how well will they stand up to you? Like, a performance test.
Okay, so if I'm leading first, I'm trying to tear them up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna try to gap them off the line, and every zone I get in, I would like to try to get a higher angle than what is required in the zone. You know what I mean? Like slightly higher angle, as fast as I can though.
Yeah.
It's like an open door partner style lead, as fast as I can do it. High angle, speed all the way around. Don't let up off throttle. Don't hit the brakes. Just keep it moving as fast as I can. Now, if I'm leading second and a mistake has been made, in my chase, then I will slow that lead down. Take it normal, like an open door partner's line, and see what happens.
Interesting.
Without throttle blipping them, I'm not gonna like mess with my angle. I'm gonna go high angle, keep it as smooth as I can.
Yeah.
See what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And if they get me, they get me. It's like I made a mistake, so it's like this is the only way that they can make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
If I just take off and and gap them, it does nothing for me.
Yeah. If there's a mistake that you made already, then you need to make it easier for them to make a mistake. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Exactly. And keep the line as honest as I can. I drive as honest as possible.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't do any intentional stuff to make them tap into me or any of that kind of stuff. My lead, I try to keep it smooth. If they're on my door, in the last competition that I did, round 2 of Super G, I was going against Jason Fordyce, and he was so on my door that I literally made him invisible and forgot he was there for like 15 seconds because I was just focused on my line. So focused on my line, I forgot he was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when they get on your door, that's what you have to do sometimes. You got to make them invisible, because you start looking over your shoulder, then your hand starts to wobble.
Yeah.
You start to wobble. You start to try to
you distract yourself.
Exactly.
Thinking about what they're doing. Yeah, it's definitely a huge game you have to play, because the skill levels of the people you face can vary widely. So like sometimes you do kind of need to look out for the other person, but when you have a really good driver behind you, it's definitely best just turn it off, just drive your line, and whatever happens.
Exactly. Yep.
Now, a while back ago on the Facebooks, I saw you made a post or a reply to a post for calming nerves, or no, it wasn't calming nerves, but the end of it is that you said that you drive your laps as if it were a cold lap every single time.
Yeah. So when I'm tuning the cars, so like you're not going to get a chance to warm up or like warm up your tires before you do a battle. So I just lost train of thought for a second. Sorry, man. Put me back on subject.
Cold laps.
Yeah,
driving
right.
cold laps.
Okay, cold laps. So when I tune my cars, I tune my car for a cold lap. Like what it can do in a single lap. Not when the wheels are warmed up or anything like that. How it drives off of one single lap. If it can't do what I need it to do on the single lap, I tune the car to make it do what I want to do for a single lap, because that's all we're getting in these competitions. If we could even have a tire warm up, it would be pretty sweet. But there's not even a tire warm up. They don't even allow you to warm up the tires. So you're cold lap, cold tires. What can the car do?
Okay.
So when you're competing, that matters a lot. Now, if you're just a session guy and you don't care about competitions and it's no big deal to you, then you could kind of tune the car a little bit differently and get warmed up, and then the car will rip,
Yeah.
But definitely a car tuned for a single lap versus, a car that you have to warm up. You want the single lap car for that competition.
Sure.
So I'm kind of curious with you, like, are you do you find yourself able to kind of turn off the strive to be a better competitive driver, and like do you ever just go out and drive, or are you always kind of in the back of your head thinking of it as practice for competition or something like that?
Well, I mean, my session style is pure comp style. I live the comp style, so I love to session. I love to session, but my style is pure comp style. I mean, I do flick the car. I'm aggressive with it, but all my angle matches, try to fill every zone as deep as I can. I don't try to run them shallow or do any kind of weird stuff when I'm driving with people up close. I run a legit line. So if I gap them, I'm gapping them legitly. You know what I mean? If they're messing up, when I'm doing it with a legit line, I'm not being tactical. You know, I'm not brake checking. I'm not flipping the throttle, hitting high angle higher than I can make it through the clip just to see if I'll make contact with them. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. Pure comp style driving.
So when you're driving at your track, you're kind of like you're treating it as if you're in a battle at that moment, like every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the only way I kind of drive is angle match, high angle.
That's interesting.
Like hitting all the marks like as perfect as I can all the time.
Do you do any kind of like preparation, like say the few days leading up to a comp? Will you try to practice more or kind of plan, the line or something like that?
Usually like before a comp, usually like a week before a comp, I don't drive very much.
Really?
Yeah, just take it easy. I mean, what's done is done. You know what I mean? It's like now I just got to get to the place where the comp is being thrown, because I'm going to have to tune my car for that track.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not, as far as driving and stuff like that, there's not really much I can do that I haven't prepped myself for already.
Yeah.
So I just have to get to the track and tune my car for that track. You have to be good at on-the-fly tuning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using regular VCT, quote-unquote P-tile,
mm-hmm.
versus going on to J-tile, which is just way more slicker. Or when I did King of the Streets, and it's, asphalt with rubber tires, and the grip level is insane,
Yeah.
So I just kind of have to get to the track, tune the car. The driving and the practice has already been done. So main thing is, can I get my car tuned before the comp starts? Because if you're not tuned well, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a huge thing Justin Wilming touched on too. Like, make sure you have your car prepared, because if there's something you don't like about it, or if it's not doing what you want it to, it's just, you're making it that much harder on yourself.
Exactly. So I mean, my car has to drive as good as it can on my track, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly testing and trying different cars and different setups. I'm sponsored by Yokomo right now, so it's been all Yokomo. Last year, I tuned that Shark the whole year, thinking, oh, okay, I got my car tuned for next year. Next year, I can just like chill out, and I'm not going to have to tune as much, Then I got sponsored, and this whole year again, I've been tuning cars and trying to find what I like, and then still going to the comps with them, even though I may not be feeling them that much. I haven't done many comps this year. I did one round 2 at Super G, and I won that, which was nice after not doing a battle for 7-8 months. And
that was what car? What chassis? It was the SD and an RD, right?
Yeah, it's an RD with the SD gearbox.
That one threw us off for a loop when we saw it on the list. We're like, I think they have a typo there or something, and then it turned out to be true.
Yeah. That's what it was. Just mainly plastic chassis. Upgraded the shocks, and then the gearbox. Gearbox where the speed comes from, where it's what I like in a car. That determines whether I want to drive that car or not. Is like how well I can tune the gearbox. Like the gearing to my style. some of these, the gearing is like example, a GOM is going to have way different gearing than a YD2. So I mainly stick, even when I'm not driving an actual YD2, most of the times they're not, it's going to be a YD2 conversion because I'm familiar with YD2 gearing. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
That's just what you're used to.
yeah. Now I got GOMs, Rhino Maxes, PDSs. I got so many chassis, so many. I've tried everything. I drive everything, you know. I'm kind of known to be able to drive any car. Like on the fly, I can drive anybody's car. But like my preference in tuning, yeah, this is what I know. So I kind of stick to what I know as far as that goes. Now, like suspension stuff like that translates over to the other cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knowing how to tune the remote, that translates well too, you know. But yeah, I got my preferreds.
Which I have a special question about that later. But since we are talking about chassis right now, let me go ahead and bring that onto screen. Okay. So here we have your current chassis.
Yes.
So let me go ahead and ask Christian's question here. He's asking, how was the change from Futaba Accuvance electronics to Yokomo? More specifically, the V4 versus the GYD 550.
Oh man. So the GYD 550, I had it paired with a Rev D servo, and I didn't even have to tune the servo. I just did the tuning through the GYD, and it worked great. Whereas I'm actually right now I'm okay to use a GYD, but I don't feel like the GYD pairing with the SPO3 or the SPO2 was like to my liking.
Okay,
and so go ahead.
That actually answers one of my questions. Like, you're not locked down to all Yokomo stuff, like as far as Yokomo sponsorship goes.
I am, but I actually sent in a request to try a GYD.
Okay.
But I didn't want to throw a GYD on the car, tune it up, then ask. So I asked first, threw it on the car. And by the time I had done that, I'd already done so much tuning with the servos compared to the V4, because that's what you have to do compared to the V4. It's all servo tuning.
Yep.
So when I got the sponsorship, I finally got the cars. I probably spent 3 weeks every single day tuning that servo to get the shake out of it, to get it smooth. It was a non-stop tuning on it, trying everything on that thing to get that wobble to go away. Which, it's still slightly there, but nothing to cry about.
Are there any hints for tuning like SPO2, SPO3 servos?
I mean, from what Yokomo says, they're pretty much take the same tunes, you know? I mean, depending on the car and the layout, you're just gonna have to mess with it. You know, like if I'm running a high battery car, example, my torque will be turned up to like 15 or 20. But on these low battery cars, I'm like between like 3 and 7 on my torque. So it just kind of really depends on the setup on how to get the servo tune out on a low battery car like this with the SPO2 V2 or V3. Yeah, I kind of developed a pretty good tune for it. But at first, because I was so used to running high battery cars, they were wobbly as hell.
And why SPO2 in this picture versus SPO3?
The speed. I like the speed and the smoothness of it.
Sure.
I can get the SPO3 down pretty low in speed as well, but yeah, I like the smoothness of it. Really smooth, buttery type of feel. More close to a Rev D type of servo for me than a SPO3 would be.
Sure. Gotcha. Christian coming in with a question, why RD2 lower upper? Why RD2 lower, upper, and steering
Yeah.
instead of SD 2.0?
Oh, SD 2.0. Yeah. Okay, so on the SD 2.0, I don't like slide rack. I don't like driving the slide rack on it. To get the Ackerman the way I like it, and to get it to not lock up and stuff, I have to have a little more toe out than I like to run. So I could have used this belt. I did actually use the belt crank on the SD. I did try it, but in all realness, I like the flex better on these plastic chassis than I do on the SD. SD felt kind of stiff for me, so I just went with feel. The plastic grip had nothing to do with plastic. Like, I'm gonna run plastic, and it was just all feel for me.
I like, because I know that some people will say that plastic, because of the way that it flexes, will technically be faster, just because it can flex. Other than, well, and then the opposite end is that carbon, like a stiffer chassis, has more headroom for tuning because it'll allow you to do more things.
Yeah, I noticed. I mean, I drive the carbon chassis too, but just with the stiffness, it kind of I kind of feel like the opposite. Like I gotta tune more. I gotta tune the car harder with the stiffness. You know what I mean? Whereas with a little bit of flex, I turn up the wheel spin a little bit. When I go on low throttle, it gets straight and fast. Easier to stay on the door. I'm not getting caught with my ass out as much. So personally, that's why I like to use flexi deck chassis, but not over flexed. I don't like over flex, just a little bit of flex. And building the suspension correctly is another thing. I know they say a lot of people who run flex decks don't like to tune their suspension, but I tune that too.
Yeah,
I tune the shit out of that too. I tune the suspension. I want the flex, I want that option. You understand? And if I need to stiffen it up, I mean, literally, I stiffen it up with the suspension.
So last year you were on a Razor Megalodon deck. Is that correct?
I was just on the Razor, the RPF lower deck.
Okay.
And then I had the stock Shark upper deck because the RPF deck was just over flexy, and even with the Megalodon upper decks, it was just too flexy for my liking. So I kept the stock carbon deck to keep it a bit stiff.
Gotcha. So what, or at least how does your current car compare to last year? Because clearly we're going from high CG to everything down low, except for the motor, right?
Yeah. To be honest, in all realness, the Shark last year was an amazing car for me. Probably one of the best cars I ever driven, especially with the high battery. This year I didn't really feel like I needed to do that. Honestly, felt like I could do it in less chassis than that. And they're not really battling the car, they're battling the driver. So this year I wanted to make that statement that you're battling the driver. You're not battling the car. Forget the car. If I'm on that car, you're battling me. It doesn't matter what's under the hood. So plastic. I'm not going to make excuses if a guy snatches on my door like, oh, I'm on a plastic chassis. Look, I'm on this little weak chassis. None of that. Because I am my car, So whatever car I choose to drive, I take responsibility for it,
Sure.
So, yeah, I just wanted to prove that it's the driver. And, there's guys out there spending, thousands and thousands and thousands, and they want every tuning tip there is and this, that, and the other. But, you still got to drive that thing.
Yeah.
So it comes down to tuning the cars and, getting them sound. And that's what I wanted to prove when I came back to Yokomo, was that you're battling the driver. Doesn't matter what I drive.
Yeah. I think I might annoy some people when I say this, but I think a lot of our community is a little in denial over, how much it comes down to driver more than car. I think a lot of people. I mean, obviously, it makes sense. It's the easiest thing to change is the car, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's more the driver than anything.
I mean, it's also a slippery slope, right? Because it's like you want all the bling, you want all the shiny stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I say that as someone who has a very expensive car. It's like I'm not buying that because I think it's going to make me a better driver. You know what I mean? It's just cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you have that understanding, then that's the beauty of it. It's like you can have that understanding. I mean, I look at like example Fredo Chan's car. It's full bling. It's everything. It's crazy. It's crazy beautiful. But you're battling the driver, and even if he was in my plastic car, the results will be the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's all what you want to do. It's like like last year's car for me, that thing was blinged out. I had it blinged out. I mean, everything that I wanted on that car, from nerds to which are expensive as hell.
Yep.
I mean, the car was sitting at probably $2,200 by the time I was done with that car. Whereas the cars I'm sitting at right now, retail are sitting at like $1,000.
Yeah.
Or less, 800. And my price, even cheaper.
So let's talk about the tune of the chassis here. And I kind of want to start off with suspension. Do you mind sharing your shock build, like pistons and oil?
So yeah, on this car specifically, I mean, I went to the old school pistons. Like they used to come in the Yokomos from like 2018, tiny holes, not drilled, the most basic of the basic.
Mm-hmm.
I did use titanium shafts, the blue O-rings, 100-weight shock oil in the front and rear. And then
I think he means CST people.
Say that again?
Sorry, 100 CST, not 100 weight.
100 weight, yeah. 100 Yokomo, 100 weight, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's really, I mean, I got TN guides on the rear of the suspension. I do kind of have a little de-airing technique I use to get the air out of the shock, you know what I mean? So, and I can play with how much air is going to be in the shock. So like when I press my piston in, I don't want it to pop out all the way. And then when I pull on it, I want it to suck back in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that I have reaction both ways and it doesn't feel like I'm floating on air, so to speak. But other than that, it's a really basic shock build.
Very cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the front end. Do you know what you're running for your front camber and caster?
Okay, so the caster is stock. The camber is -6.
Okay.
And then, I don't know what the toe out is or anything because I eyeball that.
Yeah.
I use the inside of the wheel to where it's spaced out the shock, so I turn it, and that lets me know where my kind of toe is.
Yeah.
On the side.
The toe and Ackerman settings, it's like you can't really tell someone what it should be. You kind of have to just drive the track and adjust as needed.
Exactly. Because some cars you can have like super high, like the Ackerman is like this, and then some you kind of need that little bit of chase wheel to stick out a little bit. So depending on the setup, depending on the front. So yeah, like you said, it's just really hard to give somebody those kind of setting things unless I look at it and do it myself.
Also, it's pretty hard to measure as well.
Yes.
A question from Faisal just came in. Mile High already kind of answered. But he's asking, and I want to put this in here right now, just so that we get to it. Faisal saying, I'm new to the RC drift hobby. Can anyone tell me what the best chassis to buy to compete in comp drifting is? That's a hard question.
Whatever one you can afford.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to budget.
Mhm.
I mean, there really is no best chassis. I mean, at least with the YD2, there's a bunch of different conversions that you can try for it.
Yep.
So any YD2 that you buy, you know, you can not only can you tune that stock YD2 to go really well, but then you can buy. I mean, I don't even know how many conversions they make.
Yeah.
For YD2s for you to try. So
that's kind of where I point people is always like something based on a YD2 will take you from bone stock to you can do whatever you want it to do after that. I think it's just way more opportunity and ability to have that chassis like last you a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Like,
technically,
Go ahead.
technically what we're looking at right now is an RD 2.0,
Yeah.
like front end and the base chassis. The transmission's different. The transmission comes from an SD 2.0, but like aside from the aluminum versus the plastic transmission housing, right? That's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah,
At least-
plus on okay, so on the SD gearbox, you can run 3 gear or 4 gear.
Gotcha.
So the RD 2.0 comes stock 4 gear, and especially for competitions, I prefer to comp in 3 gear. Parts. So that gearbox I was able to make 3 gear, and was one of the main reasons why I run that gearbox.
Why is it that you prefer the 3 gear?
You know, just driving them both. I mean, the 4 gear is really nice too. I'm really good in the 4 gear too. But the way the front end pops, like especially when I'm on the door, is different. You know, on a 4 gear, when I boost on the door, the front end likes to shoot up and bobble, bow, bow. You know what I mean, on my throttle. Whereas it seems like in 3 gear, that's more happening in my rear end, and the front end is dipping when I do it. So I kind of like that. And then, it was just preference from driving them, just feel.
Mm-hmm.
Was why I chose to do 3 gear. And that all came from driving the YD2Z. It, you know, quickly became my favorite layout of YD2s. And then so when I built the Shark, I built that in 3 gear as well, since you have the choice of 3 gear or 4 gear. So yeah, whatever gearbox gave me the 3 gear was what I was pretty much going to run. Before this car came out, I was actually going to run an RD 1.0 high battery because of the 3 gear gearbox. Almost fully plastic, you know what I mean? I was just, the 3 gear was like, I felt like I chased better, and I was cleaner. I was easier to stay off the door.
So
what's the weight bias on this car?
If I'm not mistaken, right now it's like 67-33.
I would have
Which is
expected it to be a little more rear bias with the plastic front and metal rear, but that's not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad. I don't really like the cars too heavy in the rear end. I don't want to get stuck with my ass out when I'm trying to adjust. If someone makes an adjustment, try to take off or something, you know, need to make quick adjustments. So I always try to make sure that the tail is not too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what your all up weight is with battery and body?
With battery and body, when I comped, was 1384.
Okay, still light.
Yeah, still pretty light.
Pretty light. I like the way you put that, like getting caught with your ass out when the car is in a state where it doesn't necessarily want to start coming back. You have to give it a little more input to get it to come back. And you get stuck there, and then they're taking off. Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
Now, do you tune to like stay in like when you're in that position, or do you have your car's ability to be able to go past that, like for angle's sake, but you are the one that's limiting the car to do it, like to stay in the happy zone or speed,
Yeah, I mean,
to stay in speed?
okay, so when I'm leading and chasing, it's kind of two different styles.
Mhm.
In lead, I'm trying to drive the car at pretty much close to the highest angle as I can. Whereas chase, you don't really drive like that. You're following them. A lot of times it's a little bit less angle, and then you catch the angle match. But the lead car is the one running the high angle the whole time. It's like so. Yeah, I keep the rear ends light for adjusting in chase, and then in lead, I just make sure that I'm at high angle as I can be without over angling, and then end up pulling out of a clip or missing a zone. I mean, I'm trying to simulate like real drifting, like Chelsea Denofa, James Dean, like how like you see in Drift Masters and Formula Drift, the high angle, the aggressive flicking. That style of driving is what I'm trying to simulate.
Mhm.
We're all driving fast, and we all run in a sense. Like when I get on a straight, I'm trying to be gone. That is the only spot you're going to see me straighten out and be gone is in a straight. After that, it's all high angle, and it's always angle to angle. Like I don't do angle, go straight, beeline to a clip, then throw angle. Get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's angle to angle.
Yeah.
All the time. Never straightening out unless it's the straight. Then I'll go straight.
Yeah.
But you have to manji in it too. So eventually you're gonna have to manji in the straight before you flick. Otherwise the decel will be crazy. You risk too many mistakes without a manji. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
If the straight's not long enough, I won't straighten out at all.
Mhm.
I just keep it angle to angle the whole time.
Back to the rear end of this chassis right now.
Yeah.
What's your rear camber at?
Rear camber is -4.
Okay. And as far as the Camber Link, are you running pretty short or like pretty parallel length to the lower arm?
You know what? Let me look at it. Look at it. I mean, it's not very parallel. I don't know if you can see it, but it's not very parallel. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, they switched back to the top style instead of like the H arm type of thing, so like the vertical upright
yes.
thing. Okay.
Yep. And then that hole I found to be the grippiest spot of all 4 holes, so that's why I'm on that hole. I went for the grippiest one.
Gotcha. Okay. And
So is that something where you'll just like move it around and see which one you like best just by feel?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, all 4 of those holes got plugged into to figure out what I like. Because the stock, it would be in the hole next to that, the one closer to the wheel. So yeah, I tried them all to see which I like best. Because it's a new knuckle. I mean, I used to use the 5-hole clover knuckles before a long time ago.
yeah.
And the closest inside hole, like kind of like that, was always the grippiest one. So it was no different with these.
Motor is 10.5 RPM spec.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
And RPX2, RPX3, BL Pro 4.
RPX2.
There you go.
Last year, a good portion of my season, actually the whole season was done in a RS4, BL RS4 ESC. And then for the finals, I actually switched to the RPX2. And that's because we were running, like me and my boys were running such high angle, and I couldn't keep the angle like at that deep an angle without more power. So I had to have more power since I was changing my style of driving.
Speaking of style, do you call yourself like a beginning of the throttle, like so you're barely proling your trigger, or do you like the feel of like the what is it? The resolution of like all of your trigger pull.
So, besides getting in the straight, which I usually start when I enter the straight, it's usually, of course, low throttle. But as soon as I feel the car grip up, then I go right into the mid-range. And then that same mid-range that I'm running in the straight to go fast is the same sweet spot that I use to hold high angle through all the zones in the way I drive.
Gotcha.
So just in the sweet spot the whole time, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really letting off throttle. If I let off throttle, it's to hit the brake. There's no like letting the car coast. None of that, because more times than not, like in lead, I might in an entire lead run maybe hit the brake one time, and that's usually from like a high speed straight into a flick. Now, if it's a sweeping flick or a sweeper that I'm flicking into, then I don't need to hit the brake.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be hairpinning where I got to come back the other way, you know, it's like a straight up U-turn, then yes, I'll tap the brake for a split second, get the car to come around and get pointed where I need to go. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Exactly.
That's another like really, I think, good tip for people starting out is like, we kind of talked about this with Kevin Tan a little bit, but like avoiding fully letting off the throttle unless you're trying to brake, like always keeping some amount of throttle applied so that your wheels are always slipping is really a good strategy, a good thing to try to learn.
And you can use it as braking. So like when the car starts to come around, if you stay on throttle, it's going to help you stay off the wall easier.
Mm-hmm.
If you let off throttle, a lot of times is when you end up in the wall.
Yeah.
So you stay on throttle, it kind of acts like almost like braking for you, keeps the car pulling away from the walls. One of the main reasons why you just want to stay on throttle, especially when you're flicking in. A lot of times people want to hold the brake, let it go, and the car's just sliding. It's like, you got to get back on throttle to keep it off that wall. Otherwise, the car will keep traveling.
Same in IRL 1-to-1. Like you can't, if you're on a wall, you can't let off the throttle. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm just trying to pull up your other pictures here. Except Instagram's a little bit weird with it. Oh, whatever. We'll just do it. So, just going through a few pictures from last year too, because it was an interesting build. Because there was only a few of you guys. Well, yeah, a few of you guys were doing the high CG sharks.
Yes.
So, oh nope, wrong button. Here we go. Okay. Oh, which is your favorite body? The full Tech 1 livery or the flat black one?
I mean, I like them both. I mean, you know, I like the flat black. You know, I kind of, you know, if you look up close, it kind of got like the scales on it with the front teeth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I really like my Tech 1 body as well. So,
sure.
I mean, they're the exact same body. They drive the exact same. So, either
and these
or.
are
You know,
both addiction
sometimes I like
bodies.
to do me and ride my shell, and then, you know, other times it's like I got to rep the team. So, you know, I like them both though.
You guys are both
Sorry. How many Tech 1 members are in Vegas?
Right now we have 1, 2, I think there's 5 of us. 5 or 6 of us out here.
Sweet.
Yep.
So you only have nerds on the rear of this? Is
Yes.
there any particular reason why?
It didn't really dawn on me until I actually watched the build video of the nerds. And you know, the build videos are in Japanese, you know. But what it was pretty much saying was that you don't really need to have nerds in the front. They're more made to go on the rear. Like not a lot of people are adjusting the dampening very much in the front end, which I found for me, I mean, I had them all the way open in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I messed with the dampening in the front, it really didn't really do much but make my car worse. So I wasn't adjusting the front very much. So, you know, I had the overdose shocks, which are like, those are the H2s, which were like my go-to if I had a choice, you know? So I kept those in the front, used the nerds on the rear, and then used the other set of nerds on another car.
Gotcha.
Smart.
Instead of wasting
Yeah.
all that tunability.
Because those
you know
are
what I mean?
expensive.
Yeah, it's like what, $450 for a set.
Exactly.
Like-
So I got the best bang for the buck by using them on two separate cars, and you know, putting the nerds on that other car made it better.
There you go.
So
Win-win.
yeah, it's a win-win.
Jumping back to your RD, are you? What exactly are you calling your chassis? Like RDSD 2.0?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're gonna jump back to that really quickly. Christian's asking, are you using a Yoko diff or a CLSD?
No, I'm using a Yokomo diff, but if you notice, like watch the wheels.
Oh, yeah.
You took out the wait, what?
Watch, so this, I gotta hold the spur because I don't have a motor in here. It's in my other car because I blew all my motors. But yeah, see it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
an open diff. I mean, it still spins both ways, you know. But these YD2 diffs come stock with the O-ring inside the. It's an orange O-ring. It's made of rubber.
Mhm.
So what I did is I changed the internals to the metal gears, and then the blue O-ring. I just used a blue O-ring from our shocks instead of that orange one, and then it opened the diff up for me. So it's more like a CLSD.
Wow.
Yeah. And before we made a video about it on a page me and my buddy runs. It's called RC Drift Source, and we put the tip on there, but we tuned it. I mean, we not tuned it. We ran it, tested it for about 3 months before we actually posted it, just to see if the diff would hold up, you know. And since I had broken like 5 CLSDs last year. Yeah, I needed a option that wasn't gonna break. So
That's crazy.
yeah, I kept breaking them and shredding the gears up in them, and yeah, I broke them all. I broke
How?
all my CLSDs.
What do you think causes that?
Like when I'm up close, I gas brake a lot. So
Okay.
Boost, brake, boost, brake, boost, brake. You know, to keep the car broke loose.
Did
And I
you
think-
did you have the hard springs, or were you using soft springs?
No, I was using soft springs.
Huh.
The early
Yeah.
lock.
I was doing 4-gear soft. And, you know, I tried 8-gear, and I tried to do the hard springs and stuff like that. But like I said, with the 3-gear, it was all feel. It was pretty much what I could get the most grip out of. That was my whole thing behind it. What can I get the most grip from?
Yep.
So for me, it was the 4-gear soft. And
How do you judge that yourself? Like, because everything is a feel thing, right? Like, do you pick one corner and like focus on the entry, mid, and exit of that to judge your grip, or are you just taking it all in as you're driving?
so I can kind of tell if the car is going to be super grippy or not. Like if I'm getting into zones and, you know, even though I'm flooring it, it's trying to pull out. You know what I mean? But I can't really get the full feel of it until I actually start doing some chasing in it.
Yeah.
And the guy I'm chasing doesn't have to be the fastest. Actually, I kind of prefer them to not be super quick because I need to be able to chase them too. So if my car can chase them, and I can chase these guys, I'm not going to have a problem. Like if I have to go against somebody in a competition who's not driving very fast, or even when I session, I can still session with the slow guy and not bully the shit out of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys who drive the fast cars are so gripped up, they can't really drive with a noob or a slow guy.
Yeah.
You know, so my cars are tuned to be able to drive with both.
On.
Yeah, I was gonna say biggest thing for finding grip is just having someone consistent to drive with, because then you can make a change and then come back and see how it compares.
Yeah, you need a decently consistent driver to do some testing with. You know, if they can keep their lines smooth, it allows to do a lot of. And I don't need to chase them for 10 laps to know. I know within two laps, 3 laps.
Yeah.
What I need to do.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Logan. I wasn't doing very well on Friday. Although it's been like a good month and a half.
You're just a little rusty. You don't get to drive all that much.
Okay. So we're back here at the previous year's Shark. So actually, let's ask you this question, Brett. Do you feel like this is the year of just like everyone modifying the crap out of the car in terms of like Frankenstein built chassis, and that's what we're going to be seeing?
Honestly, that's all it's kind of been for like the last. I mean, for the last, I would say 3-4 years.
Okay.
Is that I've seen it's just been all Frankenstein builds, like, you know, people using whatever parts were best for the car.
Sure.
And not necessarily staying stuck to a brand or, you know, I mean, just using what was best.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this year it kind of seems like more the year of the race.
Oh,
okay.
That's what it seems like. I mean, I've driven a few different tracks, and you know, it seems to be more about a race, you know, and tactical style of driving instead of like, you know, honest lines and keeping it real, you know. So I always tell everybody, I'm like, you know, you can tactically drive all you want, but when it comes time to these competitions and shit, and you don't got a smile on your face and you're super mad because you just lost or whatever, it's like, yo, you're gonna have to calm down and drive right in practice. So if your car's not fast sideways, then maybe you should take it off the track, turn the spring, turn something up, turn something down, do whatever you need to do to make it slide properly. Not, oh, this guy's on my door, I'm gonna try to shallow out and then run away and then fake it and try to throw angle again. It's like, yeah, you've already lost though.
Yeah,
you've already lost.
It is true. Yeah, if you're having to short lines and do stuff like low angle, you have already lost. It's a fruitless battle.
It's a fruitless battle, and so these guys they're super about these competitions. Everyone's super this year is, I mean, we got 20 regions and for the Super G Championships. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of drivers.
Yep.
And I don't know if a lot of these guys are seeing what they think they're seeing. Like, they see guys gapping each other, this, that, the other, but it's like, yo, look at their angles. You know, are they shallow? Do they have deep angle? Are they still gapping guys while they're in angle?
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at that kind of stuff, because a lot of times they're just seeing a guy drive fast, so they think, oh, I got to drive fast against this guy, not focusing really on their line all that much.
And you also you see people get hung up on straight line speed when, you know, you can have a fast straight line car, and if you have someone that actually it kind of knows a little more what's going on, and they have a car that's fast in the zones, it's like there may be a gap on some of the straightaways, but they're gonna be right on your door in all the zones where the judges are really watching. So it's just
like what I've noticed kind of is the straight kind of seems to snatch a guy's soul right out of his body if he gets gapped in the straight, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of guys, they're tuning the cars to go fast straight, but I tune it both ways, like it's balance. I tune the car to be fast straight, but I also tune it to be fast sideways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they get gapped in the straight, and so now they want to gap you, and they're not gapping you in the straight, so they want to gap you in the turn, not realizing that they don't really have a lot of angle, you know what I mean, to begin with. So they're kind of carve driving, and, you know, it's not really a smooth tandem. You know, it's like when I first got into this hobby, like we were nose to bumper transitions, exact same angles, like a kind of a sweet way of driving, where now it's just guys just trying to run from each other the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, we're all trying to get away, but you got to get away legit.
Yeah. I think that's the general kind of perception, or like the feeling that everyone is like getting more and more racy, I'll call it. It's pretty common in like all forms of drifting. It's common in FD and everything like that. I think it's just like, it's kind of something that's never really going to go away for us. We're always going to feel like people are just trying to race, because at the end of the day, I think we all kind of are. Like, we are definitely trying to make our cars faster, but it's very obvious to a judge when your speed is like fake. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fake speed, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, watching all these drift comps and stuff now, these guys are throwing a real drift, you know. They're throwing heavy angle, hard,
Yeah.
heavy angle, and then driving fast as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I try to simulate. You know, everyone, they're all about scale builds, right? They do scale builds, but it's like their driving isn't scale. And that, to me, is the most important part of this hobby. Is you're driving an RC car. Yes, we want the bodies to look scale, but the driving's got to be scale too. Like better scale driving. You know, it's like I threw a comp a few weeks back, and I asked for a raise of hands on people who watch real drift, and there was like only 3 or 4 hands raised.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like, they're not, and then like when they watch it, like if you pay attention, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot, you know, and how the judges are judging it too, like angle to angle, not beelining from one clip to another. You know what I mean? Things like that. And the way they implement their rules. So that should affect the way you drive as well. And it's actually, when you do the Super G style of comping, that's the kind of comping it is. Higher angles, deep in the zones, more of a simulation of scale competition, in my opinion.
The only thing I would say to that is, I think Super G demands a little bit cleaner driving, like much less forgiveness for any type of contact.
Yeah, they don't want contact, like bumping, but you can rub the doors all day.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to rub the doors. Like, they're not gonna deduct for a tiny team. Now, this is not, you know, a few years back, small minor contact, it was a wrap, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more scale in the sense, like, yeah, they don't mind the door rubbing and things like that. They just don't want to see the chase car affecting the lead car's line at all.
Yeah.
Like, if you can push on them, you can slightly push on them, but don't make them wobble. As soon as you do that, you've lost.
Yeah.
And that goes for real drifting too. If a guy bangs a guy and kind of throws his line off, he's most likely going to lose if the other guy keeps it clean on his. They'll weigh it accordingly in the judging. Exactly.
I think the biggest difference too comes just like with the physics of like a RC shell is a rigid object, and obviously in FD, like, those cars can hit the wall all the way to like the tire and still be good, but we don't have that luxury.
Yeah, man, it would be nice if the cars would do that, man.
Yeah.
But
I've thought about trying to like put slits in my bumper horizontally, so like it could maybe bend in a little bit or something. I'm sure that's illegal, but it'd be interesting.
My buddy, he put a skateboard, you know, little mini skateboards, he put wheels, because he went bumperless, and then he attached the wheels to the ESC. And so when he would get on the wall, and it would literally just ride the wall with the wheels, like.
Yeah, you could like push it against the wall and then just hook up on it.
And then just ride the wall without messing your line up. It was pretty unique, to say the least. I was jealous a little bit, because he's one of my partners. He's one of the best drivers I've ever known. I forget his last name, but his name is Raymond. And he's competed in worlds. He's competed, you know, in a lot of international competitions. And he's like one of my main partners here at Slidelines. He's in Tech 1 Drift with me. And we have our own kind of crew called Drip 187.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just me and a few of the guys, you know, that can, like, just kind of show up to any track and slay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
Sick.
he's one of the best drivers I've ever known, so I'm lucky to have him to practice with. And then,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I'm actually
been for me, like I've only been doing this like about a little over a year now, and what has been great, like keeping the attitude of just everyone at your track is we're all working together to make ourselves better drivers. And especially when you start to have the team, like your core guys that, you know, the people that you drive with the most, then it's like that even amplifies even further. And when you have sessions with like your teammates and stuff, it's really, it's like some of the best practice you could ever get, those sessions when it's just you and like a few people that are really good and everybody's making everybody better. I think the whole goal being to go down to Super G and do well. So it's really
definitely. No question. You want to be surrounded by good drivers, and sometimes you gotta help each other get good, you know?
Yeah.
And if one guy's coming up, you know, he's got to help out the rest of the squad to try to,
Yep.
you know, now on the track, you're always battling each other.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever happens on track, whoever's car is making mistakes, you go and help each other out so that those mistakes don't happen.
Yeah.
You're like, let's look at your steering. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. Let's try to get this better, you know? And I kind of do that with everybody that I drive with. It doesn't matter if they're on my team or not. You know, I want the scene to grow. The quicker it grows, the better it is for me too, because I can actually get some good tandems with guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But sometimes without tutelage, some of these guys never learn. Like I said, they don't watch drift.
Yeah.
They don't watch it.
I think, yeah, if you're like kind of closed off or shy and don't really talk to anybody, it can be very easy to get like discouraged if you're starting out, because there is so much knowledge that is necessary to put together a car that can be easy to drive and get around the track that you just can't find when you're starting out. So like, yeah, definitely, like you need that. You need everybody at the track just to be able to share ideas and help out.
Mm-hmm. You'll get it too where it's like, I've heard people talk about, you know, other guys gatekeeping tunes, this, that, the other. It's like, they can give you all the tune in the world, buddy, but you still got to drive that thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no amount of tuning can definitely make things easier, you know, get the steering right, get the throttle right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you still got to drive it. Can't drive itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think
a lot of things I kind of get is like, I'll drive a guy's car and I'm like, wow, this car's really, it's just fine. But to them, it's not fine.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when I say, yo, it's fine, it's driving good, and then, you know, I don't have to do much to it. I've been hit with this so many times where you're gatekeeping. It's like, if I'm gatekeeping, here's my ESC tune, here's my servo, here's my whole tune, bro. Try it out. Every single person I give it to is like, oh, I don't like that. It's like, I've told you, my shit got too much grip. It's too grippy, you know? It's like, I built up learning how to drive grippy cars over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I first started, my car was sliding all over the place, and I learned to drive that bad boy. You know what I mean? And then as I got better, I was able to add more grip to the cars and make them faster and faster, you know? To the point sometimes where they got too much grip. I just went through it yesterday. I went to a session yesterday at Prototype, and my car was mega gripped up, super. So I had to sit down. I sat there for an hour working on the car, driving laps to get that thing to even slide correctly. You know what I mean? Because there was too much grip in the car. Now, if anybody would have drove that car who's getting started, would have hated that car. Hated it. You know what I mean? So trying to get people to understand that your tune is for you.
Yes.
We can help you with your steering. We can help you with suspension. We can give you a bass tune on the ESC and the servo and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to preference.
Yeah.
And what is good for you.
You can if you just walk into a shop with a full new setup, someone can help you get to a place where you'll be able to start practicing, but like kind of after that, you have to just sort of experiment and try things and see what you like and sort of play with it. I mean, not to say that we don't like bounce ideas off of each other. If I'm like noticing my buddy's a little fast, I'm like, hey, what do you got going on? That why do you feel a little faster than me all of a sudden? And he'll be like, oh yeah, well I took some camber out or put camber, whatever he did.
Exactly.
And then it's like, okay, cool, thanks. Now we can, both
Or
be
even
fast. But
even
it's just,
as simple as switching, like flipping your tires the other
Yeah.
day.
yeah, something
Exactly.
like that. But it's just like, as far as giving someone a full list of the settings and everything, like here's what you need to do. It's like, no, it's never gonna work. For somebody.
Now, they may enjoy it a little bit, but it'll never be perfect for them. Everyone has their own frequency.
Yeah. Everyone's brain operates a different way.
Every decent driver up to top driver, every single one of them have a different tune. You look at the ESC, you look at the throttle curves on the remotes, you look at the servo settings. I mean, it is rare to come across. Not even on my team is it like that.
Yeah.
And there's 30 guys in Tech 1 Drift, and you look at their setups, and every single one is different.
Yeah.
Maybe Fredo's pops, because Fredo kind of takes care of his pops a little bit, it'll be similar to Fredo's tune, but even still not the same.
Yeah.
More to his pops is like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they're really similar. And so that's how we kind of work here too. It's like, or, I work with people. It's like me and my buddies all the time. It's like, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Oh, you need a better, more spur gear. You need a different pinion. You need, and we're just, try these springs out. Try this out. Try out these rims. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Try lowering the suspension. Like, maybe raise the suspension. You know what I mean? Like trying to help each other out every which way, especially when one car is all of a sudden a lot better. It's like, okay, what'd you do, Doug? What'd you do to do that? How'd you get that like that? Like driving with my buddy Raymond, he's able to put the car at full angle and then just floor it. And I don't care who you are. It's one of the most difficult things to ever keep up with in a million years to try to keep up with. You're sitting there timing it and all that. It's like, if he hits boost before you, he's just going to hold it through the whole sweeper, like, and just hold that thing through the whole sweeper, like, bye-bye. And it is so legit. It is so legit. You can't get mad at it.
Yeah.
You can't. All you can do is just say, wow, that was amazing. I would love for my car
Right.
to do that. You know what I mean? Like, how did
Yeah.
you do that? And then you look at his setup and it's like, Jesus, this shit is crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, my buddy's car is crazy.
For sure.
The rear active toe, literally, it's four-wheel steering. The rear toe, the way he has it set up, literally is steers with the. So you turn in this way, and it's turning this way. It's like four-wheel drive steering on this car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like crazy level. So, and driving rear active toe and things like that isn't really my preference. It's not. I don't even really dabble in it very much. But for him, he swears by it, and he does things in the car I see no car do. Maybe a couple videos from guys in Japan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't see it in the States like that. You don't see that, And plus our driving style too, we're prepping for all those guys around the world. Like, I want them to come here and have to deal with the high angle. You know what I mean? Have to deal with speed and high angle because their angles are only high when they go from a straight to a flick. Everything else is kind of shallow and racy. You know what I mean? So I'm really pushing that in the U.S. scene is, that's high angle is hard to deal with. When your car is slipped up, it's hard to deal with. Like when a lead car has crazy angle, to try to match that is difficult. When they have mid angle or shallow angle, it's the easiest shit to follow in the world. It's so easy. It's the easiest thing. It's like, bro, you're just driving away, so there's really risk of contact or anything. There's no risk involved for a chase driver. They just drive and just chase you as best they can. Or when the guy starts throwing high angle and then you got to try to match that shit in chase, that's difficult.
Yeah.
That's difficult driving. Keeping up, I mean, I can literally, chase 101 is you don't even slide the car. You just drive after the car. Literally, you just drive after it. You don't try to slide anything. That is proximity 101 of keeping up. If they're taking angles and you're driving straight, you should be able to keep up, no problem. That is the first fundamental. The second is getting the angle matches. Now, when you're up close to them, you've been driving straight, and then you try to take an angle match, what happens? It's like, whoa, he just gapped the shit out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, now I know, okay, yeah, I got to work on my angle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get a lot of guys, too. Their lead, they'll throw angles, be able to do angle, this, that, and the other, but when they chase, they really can't get the angle at all because of the grip level, right? So that tells you a lot about your car, too. So you can drive straight after a guy all you want, but when you're trying to catch that angle, now what it's going to do is when you start catching those angles, now it's going to slow your car down from going straight so fast or carving away so fast because you need that chase angle. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so what happens is when we call it boxing out. So when a guy can't get your angle, but he's trying to angle match you and it just pulls his car forward out of the cliff or pulls it out in front of your car. You know what I mean? And that happens to 90% of the scene gets boxed out because they're so focused on driving fast that when it comes time to take the angle and then they try to angle match you, it pulls the car forward out of the cliff. It's called boxing out, you know? So if they're shallow drivers, you hit some good angle on them and it's like, all right, back to the pits for you, buddy. You're going to have to adjust that car, you know? And I can always tell when a car is gripped up. Like if it's super gripped up when I'm chasing them, you know, I'll overtake the lead and then just put down a normal open door line, and 9 out of 10 times they can't follow it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go fast as hell for them to be able to chase you.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, yeah, man, I really want to push the message of angles and like integrity in driving and, you know, people being honest about their line.
Yeah.
An honest line tells you a lot about your car. If you're doing weird stuff, it's never going to tell you what your car is truly made of.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep the lines honest, and if your car ain't fast enough, then you got to do something to the car. You know what I mean? You're not going to just drive. Guys will literally try to chase you or do things until you get tired. It's like, bro, when I get tired, I'm going to pull off the track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm trying to push that so that guys are ready because that's what's coming. Like how we see in FD and Drift Masters and these high angle, these guys are driving fast as fuck too. Don't get it twisted. Do their transitions and shit, they're going ham. But when it comes time for them to take angle, they take that angle. And these guys are on each other's doors. On each other's doors. In the US, right now in RC Drift, nobody wants each other on each other's doors. Nobody. So that's why we're in the race. Like this whole year has been about the race.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watch the videos, there's a foot, 2 feet between the cars. The tight tandems, I'm looking on videos, I'm looking for the tight tandems. There isn't any tight tandems. Because every time someone gets tight, the guy in lead will shallow out, try to run away, and then fake it and throw some angle again. It's like, It's like, and then you see their faces when they lose in comps, and these are the quote unquote, I'm just here to have fun. And then they lose the comp and they're pissed. They pack their shit up, they throw their shit in there, and they're fucking pissed and they bounce. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah, we don't have any guys like that at our track.
we know exactly.
But you get what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah,
these
no,
are the
totally.
same guys who are like,
We definitely have a guy like that.
Bro. It's like, well, who's having all the fun now? You know what I mean? You're losing, we're over here winning. You know what I mean? Who's having the real fun?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, keeping the lines honest will let you know what your car's made of. And when your car's doing good, it's legitimately doing good. That is something to feel good about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we're all trying to help each other get there. Literally, I'm literally trying to help out everybody I can to get on that level and that style of driving, because that is where the fun is at.
Yeah.
In session with my buddies, the high angle drifting, fast as fuck in the straight, flicking backies, that shit is fun.
Yeah.
That's what I call fun.
That's
Not,
one.
let me
one
just
of them.
drive. Let me just drive a low throttle, shallow style of driving, no aggression, no nothing, and then call it style. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, my style is. It's like, that's not style,
No.
bro. That
Yeah.
is just literally one-on-one chase driving and lead. You're running chase angle for lead. You're not flicking the car, not being aggressive. There's no fun in that. Look at when they see me and my buddies flicking the cars around. They're like, "What the? That's amazing!" It's like, exactly. You see that reaction that you had? That's the reaction I want to have when I watch you. Like, holy smokes! Did you see that? You know what I mean? So
100%. Like, we know when we have a good battle, like at a competition, everyone's involved. Everyone's invested in that battle. And then everything else is just kind of like, cool, you won.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
That
like
can
some
be
of the
just a
battles,
skill
like
thing
you see
too.
them, they're just going through the motions.
Yep.
So to speak. There's no actual personality in the drive. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to tell somebody's style. Like, I want to be able to tell who it is by the way they drive. Like, oh, that's gotta be this guy. Like, you could tell it's not even the shell. It's not even his car. He's flicking the shit out of it. It's like, oh, that's most likely this guy. That's most likely this guy. I can tell them by how they drive, their style of driving. There's not many guys in the U.S. that I watch that I can tell who they are by their style of driving. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I call style that heavy angle, flooring it through the clips, flicking the car aggressively. Smooth is not a style. That is how we're all supposed to drive. You're supposed to be smooth. People are like, oh, my style is smooth. Like, yo, that is just drifting 101. You have to be smooth. You know what I mean? Even when you're flicking the cars aggressively or getting silly with it, you still have to be smooth about your driving. Smooth is just smooth. The style comes in the aggression, your transition style, how you dive on the doors, your lead. Lead is like the most important thing. We have so many good chase drivers in the US. We have a lot of good chase drivers here. But chase drivers to lead drivers, a lot of those chase drivers couldn't lead a good lap to save their life. Literally, if someone had a gun to their mama's head, they still wouldn't be able to drive a clean lead lap. And you ain't shit without your lead.
Yeah.
You're not shit without it. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how much you can chase on someone's door. If you cannot lead good, you are not shit.
The lead is definitely the most important aspect of like what your competitive skill set is, right? Like, you have to be able to put it on the wall in all the zones, 100-point qualifying run. Like, you got to do that because you're going to go against somebody who can.
It's
Exactly.
also all you. Like, your lead lap is all you.
Yeah.
Like,
All you. Exactly.
Yeah. And you got to do that 8, 9, 10, sometimes, theoretically like 20 times in a row.
I mean,
So-
your little qualifier is 2 lead runs.
Mhm.
Guys are like, oh, like I thought I would have done so much better in the competition because they chase well. Not taking into consideration, like, bro, you got to be able to lead, like, whatever that chase is, your lead got to be better.
Yeah.
It's higher angle.
It was,
You're not reacting to anybody. Now you're just on you, where when you chase, it's kind of easier when someone gives you a good line to kind of stay in the line by positioning your car with theirs.
Yep.
A lot of times, if the guy goes into a wall, if you're chasing their line right, you're probably going to go into the wall with them. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the lead is, for me, mega important. And before I ever even learned how to chase, I was already high qualifying lead driver.
One of the things that I was kind of surprised by watching Super G finals last year, and not to belittle anybody, you know, I say this as a guy who just came off a 0-0 qualifying comp a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised at how low the barrier to qualifying into top 32 was. I was kind of shocked for how many people were there, how low the scores were for people that were qualifying into top 32.
It just goes to show how many not good lead drivers there are.
It is, to your point, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, man, these guys, like when you're watching drift and you first get into it, like you want to be that chase guy.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to be that chase guy, so all they do is focus on chasing.
Yeah,
Then
I mean,
when
I
it
think
comes
a
down
lot
to
of people
it,
find chasing to be the most fun.
and it's the hardest too.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part. You know, I spend 75-80% of my time in session leading. Literally, now if I find someone that can get down with a super good lead, then we'll do 50-50. You know what I mean? But more times than not, I find myself leading most of the time and trying to show these guys a good lead.
Yeah.
I'll chase them for a lap or two and be like, that ain't going to cut it. And I'll take the lead back and get back into that style of driving. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can stay on a guy's door while he's driving shallow, but this is not really the way I prefer to drive. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be, it's not a test. The test is with the angles. Their initiations, when someone flicks a car into a zone with the inertia, that creates gaps. Not me brake checking you and then getting back on throttle to try to create a gap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are the main things that I wanted to talk about with this podcast, was just the style of driving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because guys are telling me, oh, you guys have a different style. And it's like, well, it's not really a different style. Like, this is where the style needs to be. This is where all the drivers need to be. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as like, oh, I drive smooth and I drive into clips. It's like, bro, I don't drive these cars. I slide them. That's the best way I can put it. You have your drivers and you have your sliders. I slide the car. I don't use the front end. I'm weight shifting the car all the time. All the time. I'm not driving the car like a real car, like rubber tires are in the front. I'm sliding, initiating the car all the time. And so I'm trying to push that message, you know, about, you know, people sliding their cars and taking honest lines and being honest when they drive. You know, and it tells a lot about somebody. For me, it tells a lot about someone who I know can drive good, and they choose to drive the way they drive.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there's definitely, like, you know, there's times where, you know, it's an honest mistake and,
we all
something
make
happens.
mistakes. Like, we run into walls. We pull out of clips on accidents sometimes when you floor it. Like, shit does happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it's continually, and you can see it's like an intentional. It's like, bro, that's equivalent to cheating. And it's like, you're given the option to be honest or to cheat. You're choosing to try to cheat. And then those same drivers, they don't do shit in the competitions because now you have to drive an honest line. You have to be honest. You know what I mean? So yeah, someone who drives really well, and I know they do, and they're doing certain things intentionally, it tells me a lot about them. You know what I mean? It's like, if given the option to cheat, you're going to cheat. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of just being honest and learning what your car's really made of and what you're made of. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll never understand any sort of tactic of, you know, gaming the system a little bit, or, you know, tactical driving.
They think that's like the game, though. When I talk to these guys, they honestly think that that's how the game is played.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I thought this was how the game is played. They're not students. They're not really students of the drifting itself. That's why I watch every competition, every drift event. Drift Masters Japan, D1 GP, Formula Drift Japan, Drift Masters Ireland. I mean, you name it. You know what I mean? I'm watching it. like I'm learning. I actually, after watching how James Dean and Chelsea DeNofa and how Team RTR drove their cars, me and my buddies from Drift 27, that's how we vowed to drift our cars. We wanted to drift like Team RTR. High angle, flooring it, like legit fast, not doing funny stuff to get away. You know what I mean? Just solid lines,
Yeah.
Angle to angle. And you got James Dean, no less, and Chelsea DeNofa. I mean, those guys, I mean, if you can't learn from that, that's what you need to learn from right there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Guys, drift like that, you're going to have a good old time. Everybody who drives with you is going to have a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want to just go back a little bit. I see a comment from Aaron. I think it's just to do with what we were saying about kind of a surprising skill level for the lead runs. And his comment was just that, sometimes people just have bad runs. And that is true. Definitely, a lot of people had bad runs that we know are capable of doing a lot better. But in the context of a competition, it doesn't matter. Like you have to do it those 2 times or it doesn't matter. So
and you know what?
Someone, if you're capable of a high scoring run, that's all fine and dandy. But if you don't do it when it counts, then it doesn't really matter. That's part of the skill, is being able to do it under the lights at Super G.
Sure.
That's part of it.
That's exactly the words I use, under the lights. It's like, we all have bad runs. Last comp I did, my first qualifying run was trash. I overflicked the car, and I had to correct the car. You know what I mean? We all make mistakes. Even in session, we all make mistakes. I make a shitload of mistakes. I crash quite often, actually, But like you said, under the lights is when it matters. And if you're practicing your comp lines all the time, then when you comp, it's actually so much easier. The pressure is so much less.
Yep.
Because you're driving that style all the time.
Yep.
So yeah, you can have bad runs, but I'm telling you, a lot of these guys that have bad runs, I drive with them and I see how they lead, and that's why they have bad runs. So, and you would think, you're by yourself, you should be able to drive a little better, or this, that, and the other. But these guys are so tactical when they lead that when it comes time to be honest in their qualifying, they have a hard time with an honest line.
Yeah. You don't. Much to the point of the rules, at least in FD, in your battle, you should be driving as if it's a qualifying run, right?
All the time.
Yeah. And so if you're not practicing that all the time, and you're practicing a battle lead, I'll call it, then you're not going to be good at qualifying.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is guys are doing battle leads all the time in practice instead of just driving the shit out of that car.
Yeah, just do your quality run the whole time.
Exactly. And then if you gap them while doing that, then you're doing something.
Yeah.
And if you're not gapping them, we'll still keep doing that line. You know what I mean? And
yep.
I mean, they got to lead you too. It's your turns next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and if you're having a hard time chasing them and they're running a 100-point qualifying lead as well, then okay, I got to work on my car.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to, I got to work on my car when the guy cuts halfway out of a clip or skips a zone completely, or, you know what I mean? And then because of the way they're driving the car, they're bouncing off the walls all the time. And it's like, okay, well, eventually I mean, and I just watch. It's not even always against me. It's like what I'm watching. I'm watching guys with my partners. And like I said, it's just all tactical race style driving. So, hey, everybody, you want to be good at comping? Practice your qualifying line all the time.
Yeah.
Session is about that. Your best lines, your best qualifying lines, your best chasing with those kind of lines. That's how you want to drive. Nose to bumper transitions, angle matching, Not you go to angle match a guy, then he shallows through the turn and then rethrows the angle. It's like, bro, it's like, that's some straight trash. Keep that shit real. Your door just got took from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drive better. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all on each other's doors. When I drive with Fredo Chan, when I drive with Justin Wilmey, when I drive with my buddy Chuck, his name's Charles Ong. He just won the last Super G.
Yeah, he's in chat here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like, we're on each other's doors. That's all there is to it. I mean, I'm getting pushed around the track sometimes. Like, that's a part of the game. Like, if a guy is pushing you around the track and I'm driving like I drive, he's fucking earned that shit. So it's my duty to keep that line as smooth as possible and praying that he hits a wall. Praying something, you know what I mean? And if he doesn't, he did that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is.
Props.
I would way rather hang my hat on a battle where, I did a good qualifying lead and the guy just ran my door than if it was a situation where, like I made a mistake or I had to shallow up or something. You know what I mean? Like, if someone beats me like that, then awesome, cool. That was fun.
I hate when someone's on my door and I make the mistake.
Yeah.
Like, I fucked that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was on my door and I fucked that up. If they're not near me and I fuck up, to me, I'm not really in, this is session, we're speaking about session, I'm not really tripping, but when they're on my door and I make a mistake, or they're on my ass and I make a mistake, like, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's
totally
motivating for me to be like, oh shit, I gotta step my game up right now. I'm fucking up,
Yeah.
And then, so I've been fucking up so much, a lot of times I'll put myself on like a 2-lap where I can only drive normal. I can't try to drive as fast as I can. I've already been fucking up enough where I just need to drive a couple laps cleanly, especially for the guy that is chasing me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I owe him that after I just fucked up 3, 4, 5 times. You know what I mean? To
rein it in a little bit.
Just step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Get control of my senses and then get back to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So.
Put yourself in a timeout. No, totally.
That's what I call it. I put myself in like a timeout. So that I don't make it a habit of driving like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, things can become habitual. We can develop a lot of bad habits if you don't punish yourself. So opening the door up and letting the guy get close to you sometimes is the punishment you need to motivate you. Like, ooh, I was not feeling that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to drive better, So
I'm going to take it to my band nerd life. My band director would always say, like, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you're cutting yourself short of your practice lines, then you're doing yourself no justice there. And I think that's the entire, like, theme of this show so far.
Yeah. Just my goal for this episode was just to kind of break into, how you can improve your mindset and yourself and what you're trying to do to increase your performance strictly in a competition setting. And I think we're getting a lot of good stuff out of Brett here.
And in a comp, so another thing, this is some advice that I can give for comping. So don't look to the future. Don't see yourself. You see yourself on the podium, you've already gone too far. Where your mind is, and then you puts pressure on you, like, oh, I got to do this, because you're too busy trying to set some kind of goal for yourself. You clear your mind, you go to the comp, you worry about what's right in front of you right now. Don't worry about 3 rounds from now. Don't try to see yourself on the podium. Don't try to see any future in anything. Just focus on the task at hand. There's nothing that you're going to do in an hour or two that is going to change that, as far as like what the tune on your car, things like that. So there's no use in racking your brain around it. There's no use in racking your mind around, oh, am I going to win? Am I going to lose? You know what I mean? Like, forget about that. Clear your mind. Don't think about it. Just when it comes, you jump on the line, and that's when the nerves will hit you. Otherwise, you're going to spend your whole day nervous. So you got to clear your mind. Don't think about anything. You're sitting there waiting for your battle. Watch the battle that's ahead of you. Learn from those guys' mistakes on what to do and what not to do. You know, these guys are, you'll see it in some areas where like, oh, that area is kind of stretched. I need to be careful there. Yeah. Because a lot of people have been fucking that up all day.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can focus on things like that.
Yeah, you can definitely look at a track and know like where the traps are, basically.
And so sitting there being nervous about your rounds and things like that only becomes a thing when you put too much stress on yourself to perform. Yeah. You know,
like, I think I'm definitely in that phase right now where I'm putting way too much pressure on myself.
Yeah, you just got to stay clear-minded. Do whatever you got to do to clear your mind. Talk to your friends, crack jokes with your boys. You know what I mean? Go outside, hang out with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like keep your mind clear.
Yeah. Just
That's what I do when
I'm trying to make myself treat it like it's any other day at the track. We're just gonna go do some laps and nothing else. It's just it is what it is. It's like a normal day.
You're not worried about a future.
Yeah.
So there's no stress to it.
Yeah.
When you go to these comps, it's like you start thinking like, like what if I won this?
Yeah.
What if I won? What if I did this? What if I did that? It's like, what if you crash a wall as soon as you're out the gate? Focus on that.
Yeah.
Like
that is a good point.
I know that like if I've had a problem with an area all day, you know what I mean? I have a game plan set up for that area. And sometimes in the points, like example, I'm battling somebody, I'll just know that I'm going to take the loss in that zone to get through it as best as I can.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? And totally. I may win the zone, I may lose, but in my head, I've already lost the zone. I want to try to win the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, example, like at SG, where I stand sometimes, like the far clipping points that are on caddy corner wall are hard for me to see. You know what I mean? I'm going to do the best I can to get through them. I'm going to try to make sure I don't hit the wall. But my goal is just to get through that spot without making a mistake, without contacting the car and without contacting the wall, and still having my tires in the zone. Even if I don't have the most perfect angle match of the lines on there, even though I'm trying to, you know what I mean? But I know where my strengths are on the track just in practice. So I focus on that spot just to make it through, and then I worry about the areas that I know I can get them in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And what happens off the line? You know, if you gap them off the line, or if they're on your door on the line, like having a game plan. Okay, so if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. Like I was saying, if I make a mistake in my chase and I'm chasing first, then I know in my lead, I can't just run away from a guy. Like the game plan has to be a partner style, open door line, come snap this door.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can just rub it or if you're going to smash that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
That's actually, I know we talked about that earlier, but that is such a good little piece of advice there. Like if you've made a mistake in your lead, don't, make it easier for them to make a mistake.
Exactly. So it's like you have little game plans of what's going to happen. You kind of build them while you're there at that track, because you never know what you're walking into on these tracks. And for me, I'm not the type of guy to go a day or two before to a track and to my car. I go there day of. I spend the entire time through practice tuning the car, getting the car right for the competition. If I feel like if I'm having issues with certain parts of the track, I'll leave 15, 20 times in a row. Like I will not chase anybody until I get that lead line clean. I will not, because chasing is easy. They're putting down the line for me. All I got to do is point my car and position it where they go, and I'm not going to really have issues. But the lead, you know what I mean? So
Very
I'll
important.
practice.
I've been very similar lately. I've been in any kind of competition practice. Usually, I'm just doing leads, mostly just for qualifying reasons. But it also, yeah, like I'm confident with chasing. Like I can chase. I know my car is fast enough, but it's going to come down to leads. So that's all I do is just do leads.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like the chase for me is just icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it doesn't matter how crazy of a chase I put on if I put out a shitty lead.
Yeah.
I can still whoa the crowd and blow it up.
Yeah,
like,
it's entertaining,
you know?
but you don't feel like you accomplished anything if you messed up your lead.
It's like I lost immediately in my head. If I mess up the lead, I'm like, I lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I fucked that up. You know,
and
so
it's also for me, it's like a give and take. Like, yeah, I had a great chase with this driver, but the opportunity that I gave them to do that same thing was very not fair. It was bad. It's not good. I feel bad about that.
Exactly. Bam. See, if everybody drifted like that and thought like that, bro, our scene would be crazy.
Yeah.
The comp style in our scene would be nuts. I'm telling you, I've been drifting with some of these guys since I started, and they're still on that noob style shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, they're still noob driving, and it's like they never got out of the mindset of, I got to try to just gap everybody. Like, we do try to gap each other, but at a certain point, the good drivers don't get gapped like that.
Yeah, it goes back to kind of what I said earlier too, with it being more about the driver. Like, a lot of the gapping is just because I'm driving I'm driving a faster line and a smoother throttle, and it's just like, that's the gap, just because I have more experience. It's not like, shortcutting and stuff like that.
Exactly. And a lot of people will mistake what you're doing, especially if you're driving a legit line, like almost like you are shortcutting, or it's like, nah, bro, I'm hitting every zone. I'm hitting every angle match. I'm over angled through more than half of them. Like, I'm on throttle. That is how I run. You know what I mean? Stay on throttle. Don't let up off throttle. Don't hit the brakes and lead. All throttling and boosting. You know what I mean? It's very rare I touch the brakes. We're in chase, I'll hit the brakes 30 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally hitting the brakes like crazy.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a big difference.
Absolutely.
So yeah. To everybody listening and watching, you're not shit without your lead, man. You could be the best chase car driver in the world, but if your lead sucks, you're nothing.
Yep.
You're nothing. And lead is harder than chase.
Absolutely.
Lead is harder than chase.
Yeah.
You know?
Chase, when you're chasing someone, it's like you have like a buffer or safety zone of where, like, I'm definitely not going to hit any walls because I'm behind this person. Whereas in the lead, it's like up to you to decide when to slow down, when to turn, when to do everything. Now,
chase can become extremely hard if that guy that you're going against knows how to throw a good angle. That makes chasing a motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, chasing in general is relatively easy compared to doing a good lead. But when you have a really good lead driver, yes, it's not easy at all. Yeah.
It is not easy at all to chase that shit. Like, you could be close to them, but to hit that kind of angle, and when you do attempt it, shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens. Gaps happen. It's like, ooh, you're kind of apprehensive on how much, if you want to tap into that much angle, because if you do, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's what's going to make you better, and that's what's going to make everybody better around you too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're giving them that angle where even if they do get close, it's like, I was driving with somebody the other day. I'm hauling ass, right? He's keeping up pretty good. So I slowed it down, and he was getting parked left and right. His car was just stopping. He just getting parked. Because as soon as the angles were there and all that, he couldn't mess with it anymore. He needed you to run away. You know what I mean? So he could, like, drive the car and let the car kind of take angle on its own. Instead of him initiating the angle, he's just driving after you the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you got that part, but can you get this part? Slow it down, and then it's just fucking ramage and parking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit, like my car can't chase like that. Why are you going so slow? Oh, I've had somebody hit me with, oh, you on that bullshit. It's like, what, high angle? That you mean that bullshit? I didn't know high angle was bullshit. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I love this hobby. I love it just as much as I did braking. You know, braking, I braked competitively for almost 20 years. Like all different countries, getting flown out everywhere. I mean, my braking crew right now is 2023 Crew of the Year of the world. In the world.
Sick.
You know, I mean, I haven't been really braking much for like the last 6 years since I started doing RC.
Yeah.
Like I said, it literally kind of replaced that for me.
Yeah, I think hearing more about that, it's clear that the braking stuff has had a huge impact on your ability and talents as a competitive drift driver, because there's definitely a lot of similarities, you know, with the pressure of performing under one time and taking risks when you need to and all of that stuff. That's cool.
And with braking, the pressure is 20-fold what it is in RC drift, 20-fold. Because, like I said, one mistake, you're going to lose the round.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the pressure in you have to be, it's physical. It's extremely physical. It feels like you just ran sprints every time you go out. Every time you go out, it's like you're fucking running, like you just ran from the cops or something. I guess that's the best way I could explain it. You know what I mean? And then you see every single breaker is extremely tired after their rounds. It's just those who train more, their ability to recover is better than the ones who don't train a lot. Exactly like it is in drift. RC drift, it's the same way. The guys who practice a lot and train a lot, their recovery from mistakes is going to be quicker. In chase, it's a game of recovery the whole time. You understand? We're recovering the car the whole time. It's like, it's the best way I can explain it. It's like our recovery time. So the more you practice the right way, the quicker your recoveries on mistakes. You get caught down with your nose in. Practicing a lot and tuning your car the right way will get you to recover and get it back on the board.
Yeah, you the more you practice with that stuff, the more you can predict when something like that is going to happen. So you're already like, you get better at you're recovering before you even knew you needed to recover in the first place. Almost, it's exactly. Like, oh, this is happening. Here it comes. I need to do this to fix it right now, and then it happens, and then you end up in a better place because you're already like on it.
Yeah, you're fixing those mistakes so quickly that it doesn't really weigh in on the judges' minds all that much. Whereas if the mistake is there for a long time, like I call it reverse doors, right? Reverse doors is when a guy's chasing you, but his door is on the nose of your car. Reverse doors. Okay, so reverse doors is bad, everybody. Everybody listening. When you're following a car and you put your door on their nose or on the front of their car, they're taking your doors in lead. You need to be on their door. The wheel and the nose of your car needs to be on their door, not their wheel and nose of their car on your door while you chase.
Yep.
I literally had somebody a long time ago tell me, bro, door-to-door finish. I was like, no, that was your door on the nose of my car across the finish line. It's reverse doors, you know?
Yeah.
So reverse doors, the more you practice, the quicker you recover from reverse doors. You feel like your car comes in and it's literally like this, then you pull it back quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Knowing how to give them that space to get your car back and not just blasting into them.
Yeah.
So, the more you guys drive, the more you practice the right way, the better off you guys are going to be, the more fun you're going to have, and everybody else is going to have a lot more fun around you too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about you. It's about us too.
Yep.
You understand? So if you have poor etiquette, then don't get mad if somebody comes around and they want to out poor etiquette you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's guys that
Out
drive
poor
like,
etiquette.
It's like it's not a team sport, but it's kind of a team sport.
It's a
Yeah.
team sport.
it's like we're battling each other, but I'm also in session. I'm working with them.
Yeah.
Keep the tandem good. You understand? So if they get in on my door and I need to transition, but they're still there, sometimes I'll wait it out and see if they pull that out before I transition. You
That
understand? Like I'm working with them in that sense so that we can keep this party rolling.
yeah. That has bit me though in competition because I do that a lot in session, and then the last comp or 2 comps ago I did it in a battle, and it was like, why? That was dumb. But it's all good.
Shit happens, dude. It's a learning experience,
Absolutely, it was.
Like
I won't do that again.
And to be perfect in comps is difficult, dude. None of us are ever perfect. I mean, I can't think of a driver who throws it down so perfect the whole run. Now they have sections that are beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that wall ride was insane, or that flick was nuts. But it's rare that we see. We don't ever see 100-point qualifying runs in RC drift.
No, no.
We don't. Like I've done them and I've seen them in session, but during a comp, I've never seen them. I've seen them close.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a 100-point qualifying run ever. And I probably judged myself here at this track probably 50 competitions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I've been to every comp that I've been to at SG, I have never seen a 100-point qualifying run. That is hard. So that's all we're trying to do is practice to get the 100-point qualifying, even though we're probably not going to get it.
Yep.
You talk about making mistakes, and I think the idea, like a good idea from me, well, whatever, right? It's know that you are going to make mistakes. Be ready to fix them in the moment. Back to recovery time, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
You're gonna expect yourself to make mistakes. Expect judge calls to not go your way. All of these things. Just be ready for it. It makes it a little bit easier to take that when it happens.
Like, you make a mistake, man, just live with it, move on. Don't dwell on it. Like, these competitions are nothing to dwell on, dude.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean?
For
Nothing
sure.
to lose sleep over. There's comps everywhere. The only thing that you can do, man, is just try to improve. And sometimes when you try to improve, like I said, you got to keep your mind clear when you do the comps, because that pressure won't allow you to improve. You got to improve your state of mind.
Yep.
Not just your driving, but your state of mind. You know what I mean? Like, so no point in sitting there, like I said, no point losing sleep, and no point sitting there before a competition all stressed out. Put your focus into other things. Help out your buddies. You know what I mean? Like, if people are having problems with their cars, you know what I'm saying? Help them out. Keep your mind off of, this is what I got to do. This is what I got to do. This is what I got to do. There's nothing you're going to do right now that's going to change what's about to happen in an hour, other than you clearing your mind and reducing your stress.
Keep in mind, everybody, like these Super G competitions, like especially championships, go all day long. So being able to keep your mind clear,
Long night.
Yep, staying focused, not getting burnt out.
Sitting there for
is
6
like big.
hours, waiting to battle. For example, in the finals, we did qualifying the first day. We didn't even drive the second day. They had run groups. None of the top qualifiers were in any run group. There was no driving. So then we come in the third day and got to do the battle. No driving, no nothing. You know what I mean? Then they do run groups, but the run groups are like 4 10-minute run groups. And you're not hot lapping. You're literally going off the line. So you only go off the line maybe 15, 20 times. Whereas in 10 minutes hot lapping, you can get some laps in. Lap after lap after lap after lap. But when you're doing the comps there, you're not hot lapping to learn the track at all. You know what I mean? So just practice the right way. And then when you go to those, it's a lot easier when you only have 10-minute run times, because you always practicing the qualifying. And every track you go to, you just run it the same way.
Yeah, I think even like practicing a qualifying line at your home track, even though it's not going to be the same as what you go to visit the comp, it's still going to help you when you are qualifying at another track.
Because you're used to driving that style already.
Yeah, just having that fine car control and the motor skills to like put your car on a wall and not hit the wall. You know, all these things. It will always help you.
Yeah, I mean, driving that qualifying line at first, you're going to be apprehensive because you're trying to keep it smooth and you want to enter all the clips right, and you want to do everything right. But after a while, you start to adapt to that line, and then you learn how to drive the line better. You learn how to initiate the car better. You learn how to throttle mid clip better. You learn how to do all these things better by always practicing your qualifying. So yeah, everybody out there, man, I'm telling you, I'm gonna reiterate it. You're just not shit without a good lead run. You could be the best chaser, and we all want to chase good, and it's amazing if you can chase good, but you got to lead good too. Like you got to have something for somebody to chase.
Yep.
The same line that you want to follow, that good line, is the same line that you need to put down.
100%.
100%.
And so, yeah, that was actually the main stuff I just wanted to touch on, you know,
Cool.
because over the last couple years, it's like I've watched like I said, the scene slowly is getting fast. Everyone's getting fast. You know, our tuning knowledge and the help that you get when you go to a track. Example, when someone comes to my track and I help them with their car, they're just going to be naturally faster than what we were 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Because we have better tuning knowledge.
Yeah.
And so what's translating into these new cars, instead of them having to sit there for years and try to learn this shit, they're bypassing years of learning.
Yeah, you can get someone up to speed so fast now.
So now you have a guy, you know, he puts some money into a car, he gets help with the tune, and the shit is fast immediately.
Yeah.
Can keep up, do all the things that it needs to do. Whereas we were fighting to keep up with guys like Miko back in 2018, 2019. You know what I mean? And we weren't getting help to tune our cars to try to keep up with guys like that. You know what I mean? And back then, Miko was slaying the scene easily. You know? He had Keith, you know what I mean? And through Keith, he did a lot of bypassing. You know what I mean? And he was there, plus he was there for a long time. He's been drifting a long time, you know? When you're surrounded by guys who know what they're doing, and then they can help you, and it helps you bypass years, then you can more focus on the driving.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And the minor tuning. Whereas, like I said, I didn't have anybody to teach me this, so I sat there for 2 years.
You had to open your own track.
Yeah.
I had to open my own track. And then for 2 years, I sat there every day with the ESC open on my Wi-Fi, nonstop, tuning the car, tuning the ESC. Now I can help people with their ESC and give them a bass tune that's damn near on par already. Where this was something I had to learn, because when we were getting our shit, everything was zeroed out. Now you can do it with a basic drip tune on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back then we were getting stuff that didn't even have a basic drip tune on it.
That's hilarious.
You know, it was all zeros. Didn't know what the hell you were doing, you know? I still don't even know what the hell I'm doing.
It was all race spec stuff is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So are you, I know you said you're not competing all that much this year. Are you judging the Vegas region comps?
So I always judge the Vegas region comps.
Okay.
Always. Even at my track, even at Prototype. Because first, you know, no one wants to get jerked in a competition. You know what I mean? So we're really tedious with replays and watching it and making sure that as best we can that everybody gets a fair shake.
Yeah.
There's no favoritism at all. We do not play favoritism. I mean, a few of my buddies that are amazing drivers have lost first round in comps that I'm judging, and I fucking hate seeing it. I hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when I know that the guy they lost to was just to a technicality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It's the rules. The rules.
The rules. You know what I mean? So I make sure that everything's judged fairly out here, and make sure that everybody's driving correctly. And so now, like when I go over to prototype or my buddies come over to SL, we have a great, amazing time because people are learning the right way to drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I won't, in the comps, like example, last competition, in my comp, if you did not flick into the designated, if you did not flick in the zones we told you to flick into, you lost 5 points every time. There is no driving into a zone. We want to see the flick into the zones. So we had 25 points set to the side just for flicks. Hard initiation. Now, I'm not saying they got to boost it, but I want to see the car weight shift. I don't want to see someone drive through a zone. You know what I mean? They had to flick the car.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be the most aggressive shit ever.
Yeah.
I just needed to see flick and them getting the hell out of the way through their transition of the car chasing it. And you know what? Judging the battles was really easy. And, I also, when I was judging it, I judged their qualifying, their lead runs exactly like qualifying. So, example, we got guys with 50-point qualifying or lead runs versus 85-point lead runs. You see what I'm saying? So, and then we're judging chases is like, well, the guy never got a chance to chase you, right? Because he only had a 50-point qualifying run.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas he had an 85 points, so yeah, you were on his door.
Yeah.
He couldn't get close to your door because he kept pulling out of the clips and not hitting your shit right.
You're not going where he thinks you're going.
Exactly. So it'll really come down to the lead run. And so I kind of took it from FD, whereas if they both didn't score over an 80-point lead run, there was no one more time. We judged that shit on the spot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in me watching. We don't need to watch this any further. It's like, both your leads sucked. We're just going to judge it.
I do like that.
You know what I mean?
Because they used to do, it was like they would even say it on the stream. It's like, these are not the kinds of one more times that we want. When both drivers messed up, it's like, oh man, one more time because both of you did a bad job. Nobody wants that.
It's terrible. So then when you're judging the qualifying runs, and this guy's qualifying even just a few points higher than this guy, it's a lot easier to judge the chase.
Yeah.
Now if they hit the wall or they bash into the guy, that's a 0. It's a 0. But without those kind of mistakes, then we can judge it for real. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it was
Judge
really
it on
hard
merit,
to come
not
down.
just technicalities and rules.
It was really hard to come down to one more times when we're judging the lead run by points.
Cool.
And it worked great. It was awesome. And it pushed guys to run a better qualifying because I'm like, yo, I'm judging that shit for points straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then my boy is judging the chase for points. So where that chase car driver, how well he runs through that line. You know what I mean? And then we're sitting there adding our points up together and being like, whoa, the disparity's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it made it really easy for us to judge it and to judge it more fairly. Instead of a guy killing it in his lead, this guy kind of not killing it. Then they both make a mistake in their chase, like zeros. You know what I mean? So let me just go to the points real quick. Or they both fucked their leads off and they both got zeros. You know what I mean? We would just kind of do first to crash type shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, you gotta hang, bro. Like that crashing at the beginning where a guy makes it through almost the whole lap and then barely taps the wall and we got to do one more time due to the technicality. Nah, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like you crashed way early. This guy kept it and then when we get into the top bracket, then it gets down to the mistakes of the lead versus the lead, the chase versus the chase, and having to do those kind of one more times.
Yep.
Because these guys are doing legit runs instead of sitting there having to one more time for guys who can't keep the car from spinning out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah.
As far as yourself competing, are you gonna go down to overdose games?
So
Cross games.
I got three comps I'm doing this year on top of the one I already did, which is cross games, Super G finals, and then I want to do the International RC Drift Federation. Is that what it is? RC Drift Federation. I want to do their finals too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would want to do that too. That looks like a pretty good little chunk of change you could pick up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm more kind of leaning towards doing bigger comps and not really doing too many small comps. And
yeah, it's nice. It's nice for you to. I think every region probably struggles to find good judges that don't want to drive. So that's very awesome that you guys have that in Vegas.
Yeah, and my boy Raymond, he doesn't compete. He stopped competing years ago. And when he did compete, he was killing it. You know what I mean? Like killing it. But so yeah, I don't want to drive him. He doesn't want to drive him. You know what I mean? And then finding a third judge, a lot of times it's just me and him judging. Just two judges. It's actually kind of easier in a lot of ways. We'll watch the videos, break it down, come to the conclusions. He scored his points, I scored my points. We put them together. If he's leaning one way, I'm leaning the other way. We watch that shit. And we always come down to the right conclusion. Once you watch it again, it's like, oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you point out something that he didn't see. It's like, okay, right here, though, he did tap the wall. It's like, well, I didn't see that because it's on the opposite side of the track.
Yep.
Where he's standing. He's like, yeah, he hit the wall right here. This is what happened. It's like, oh, okay.
I like this point that, you know, I think for me, with judging, I think video is very important to ensure accuracy. Like it's just so hard to judge off of just what you saw and not make mistakes.
It's easy to forget. It's easy to forget.
Yeah.
You're like, sometimes when a crash happens, it kind of blanks your mind out.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what happened before? Now I'm like lost because this crash happened. I need to go back and watch that shit.
Yeah, or like crash happens and you find yourself like, oh, I don't even know what happened in the next turn after that. I had a lot of we do like just a fun little mini comp on Tuesdays, and so many times where we don't film it or anything. Well, we do now, but we would have times where it's like there would be a battle and I'd be like, well, you hit the wall, and then they would be like, where? And I would be like, I don't remember, but you definitely hit the wall.
Yes, I've actually been there. I've been there. And judging, it happens to me all the time. It's like, I know something happened right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
And it kind of like will blank you out for a second. Like, where did it happen though? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, so yeah, to go back and watch it and make sure that, you know, these guys, you know, they're paying $30, $40 to enter the competition, you know, and it's like, they just need a fair shake, dude.
Yep.
You know, they need a fair shake. So that's why I prefer to judge the battles, is because I want to make sure that these guys are getting their fair shake. And I want to help the scene improve.
Yeah.
Not just for them, but for me too. We're all helping each other. Them getting better helps me in the sense that I can have more fun driving with them.
Yep.
It makes it funner for me. You know what I mean? So coaching them getting better helps me. You know what I mean? Making sure the comps are judged correctly so that people don't have hard feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's good too. Yeah. Because I think some bad experiences in a comp can really pretty easily turn people off of your scene pretty fast.
Dude, I have seen more than I can count quit this hobby after competition.
Yeah.
They lose and they think that they didn't lose, and then, man, fuck this shit, and they're out of here.
Yeah.
No
good.
You know,
how do you deal with contests? Like people coming up being like, "Hey, what's up with this?"
So I'll go back and watch it, and I'll watch it with them. And I mean, we've had people win contests at my track before. You know what I mean? Like there's things that we didn't see when all the judges sit in one spot. Sometimes it's hard to see what happens on the other side of the track.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. If you have an opposing area where you can go like 2 off that you can't even see, it's
exactly. And so we'll just call the battle because we don't need to see the one. We think that we don't need to watch it. You know what I mean? Because we didn't see anything happen. The guy's like, yo, he dropped 2 wheels right here. He did this. And it's like, really? Oh, shit. Well, let me go back and watch that then. And you watch it and, oh, shit. You're right, bro. He got 2 wheels off. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, we deal with it pretty easily. And then I'll watch it with the guy. And if we don't find anything, I'll explain to him through the video why we made the judgment we made.
Sweet.
Now, if they don't contest, they don't say anything, a lot of times we just move on. You know what I mean? But if they contest it, I'll legitimately look at it and like I said, give them their fair shake, man.
Yep.
So as far as the video recording, how are you actually, like, what kind of system do you have in place to be able to do it?
We don't. We just have people with cameras always filming the runs. Like close up on the runs too, if we can, you know what I mean? So not someone that's just sitting back with their phone or this, that, and the other, but actually like zooming in on the cars and following the cars where they drive everywhere. So that we can see the little spots and standing in a separate area from where the judges stand. So they're almost like, you know what I mean? So that I'm over here looking at this, he's over there looking at that, and the camera's over there looking this way. You know what I mean? From a perspective that we don't see.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to trust Raymond if he tells me, hey, he had contact with the wall right here. And he's going to have the same faith in me. You know what I mean? To make that call. So if we do see that, and like say he sees it and I don't, we'll go back to the video and watch that and see if it happens. Put it in slow-mo and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Do you have specified people to do that, or is it just anyone with a phone?
I mean, I always try to go with the guys if I can that I know can video well. But yeah, I mean, sometimes, dude, you just need somebody to volunteer to be that camera guy. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I am that guy.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm the streamer guy.
So it's like, yeah, if you were at my track and, you know, whenever you're not competing, I'd be like, hey, bro, you down to video this for us? We just want, and I'll lean towards the guys that video these the best. And like, say he's not videoing the best, I'll try to find someone else to take over that camera.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? And not being like, oh, you suck at this. I'll just be like, hey, bro, on the next time I ask somebody to video, like, hey, bro, will you video this for me? You know what I mean? Not putting anybody down, none of that shit, and just keep it moving.
Dude, Charles, thank you so much for saying this.
You see, Charles watches our streams.
Yeah. Stay off the Wi-Fi during our comps because I can tell when you drop our stream.
Yeah, although I have to say, it seems like even staying off the Wi-Fi doesn't work.
Well, yeah. I need to talk with, we need to talk to Kevin about that. Because if we can get a router in between everything where we can actually adjust QoS settings, then we might have a chance. Because the internet is decent enough. But, yeah. Hey, Brett, our boy Charlie, tell Brett I enjoyed how he drove in round 2 of Super G. It was just for fun driving practice, but it was great laps.
Oh, awesome, man.
He's our guy from Oregon that moved down there. Down there?
He's in the like a silver and bodywork like panel black Celica Supra.
You know, it doesn't ring a bell, but you know, when there's like 50 drivers in there in that comp, you know, it's, and like I said, I'm like, my mind is so clear.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to just keep it clear and focused. It's like whoever I'm going against is pretty much invisible to me. You know,
Fair enough.
it could be anybody. You know, it's like I'm not the type of guy to chase a guy and tune my car off of a guy. That's not my style. Like, I'm just not that guy. I'm not coming to the track and tuning my car off of your car. Like, I would actually prefer to not drive with the guys that I'm going to be bad on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it goes along with your philosophy of, you know, you're focused on your lead lap. So like, yeah, why would you change and affect that? Also, yeah, shout out to Charlie's bucket hat. Apparently a lot of people like he was wearing a bucket hat. Maybe that will help you.
It was
I'll keep my
not
eye
just
on
any
that.
bucket hat. It was
Tell me
Eminem
everybody else.
bucket hat.
Say what up.
Eminem's bucket hat.
Come say what up to me next time you see me, brother. Charlie, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah, come say what up.
The hat was round 3. Yeah, you just said it, Char.
That's right. Yeah, he wasn't at. Okay, I got you.
Hey, so I am so happy that we have this like competition, like conversation going on. We do need to switch it up, because if we're trying to switch this to a 2-hour block, Logan,
Yeah.
Lance was right. we're not gonna do it.
Hey,
Yeah.
I would much rather just talk for 2 hours and skip roast my rig.
Oh, we're not even gonna do roast. Well, I mean, I don't have that planned right now. There's not very much in it, even so. Lance told you.
Okay, Lance.
Okay, but I do want to bring up my special question that I mentioned early on in the stream. Okay, so this is no sponsorships, no ties to anything, right?
Okay.
Completely Frankenstein everything. If you were to build a drift car that fits your needs, that can do what you need it to do, so we're gonna break it down into like steering system, transmission, high CG, low CG, ball gear, or diffs.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I really like the Rev D GYD combo.
Okay.
For steering. That's, if I could drive anything, that would be it on no matter the car. I would prefer that, those electronics. Transmission wise, anything I can do like a 3-gear YD2 style. ESC, I like the Yokomo ESCs, so something in the Yokomo RS4, BL Pro, RPX2. I'm not really into the RPX3 and the R100s and stuff like that Yokomo did. It's not my flavor. It's kind of old school software tuning, you know. Motor, Agile 13.5. Like what you saw that Shark was my preference. Like high battery, Shark, 3-gear, flex deck, nerds. Like everything you saw in that car was like my preference. That was my preference car.
So you would.
I like high battery cars. It's just I haven't really gotten what I wanted out of the Yokomo chassis in high battery. You know what I mean? So I'm just going by feel. The low battery feels good. Like I'm not stuck to any one way. But yeah, if that's my choice of what you saw last year, that would be my go-to.
Gotcha.
Everything you saw on that is my preference. I could have put anything on that car, and that's what I put. The DDSS steering is the best.
Yep.
It's the best steering.
It kind of goes back. It kind of goes back to your point earlier. You know, we're talking about just focusing on. You know, it's down to the driver, because obviously you built the Yokomo car and went and won a Super G round. So like it's you know, obviously the talent.
Honestly, my plan for this year was that I was going to take to every round. This before the Yokomo thing happened. To every competition, I was going to take a different chassis. I was going to take. I had the GOM set up. I had my Sakura D4 ready to go. I had my Rhino Max ready to go. I was going to run the Shark one time. I was going to run the PD. I was going to run all these different kinds of chassis and just try to win in them all.
That would be cool.
That was my goal before Yokomo sponsored me. And then when they sponsored me, like they gave me an SD 2.0 and they gave me an RD 2.0. I drove them both, and I wasn't really feeling the SD all that much. But as soon as I set the RD on the track, I was in love with it.
Isn't that funny? Like, just chassis to chassis.
Yeah.
Straight chassis to chassis, I was in love with the RD compared to like almost any Yokomo chassis I had driven. The MDs, all of them. I was like,
They definitely seem to have hit the nail on the head with that RD2.
At least, like, for the front runner, like, for the opening chassis, for sure.
I was gonna ask how did the Yokomo deal come together?
Actually, you know what? Shout out to Alfredo Chan. He's the one who set it up.
Oh wow!
You know, he gets a lot of opportunities, and he had a lot of opportunities on the table for him, and he threw me that opportunity.
Sick.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. He made it happen, and he said, once he showed me, it wasn't a hard decision for them to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's been in the scene a long time. He's well known. You know what I mean? He networks a lot, so yeah, he set that up 100%.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
So yeah, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, Alfredo. I appreciate you, brother. And shout out to my whole Tech One fam. Everyone's been stepping their game up mega in the crew. I mean, there's so many good drivers now, and it's been nice to see drivers that are the potential was there. You know what I mean? But to see them actually dip into the potential and get really good. My boy Charles Ong, he's stepped up major in these last few months. My boy Austin, I think his name is Barnes. He's like the king of AZ.
Yeah.
He's kicking ass. I respect the shit out of his driving. And he's wanted it so bad for so long. You know what I mean? And then to see him like coming up, and then you got Brenna. She's driving great, and everybody's just driving a lot better. So it's nice to see everybody coming up. So shout out to all my peoples. Shout out to my partners, Raymond, Sino. His name's Christian DeFalco.
Yep.
Even my boy Dave, David Lido. He was like my main training partner for years. Without him, I would have. I don't know if I would have been as good as I am. Because when no one was coming to the track, this old man was coming to the track and straight killing it with me. He's an older guy. He's like got to be pushing close to 60 now. And yeah, he pushed me in my driving, and then Christian DeFalco. He not only did he push me in my driving, and he was like my main guy last year, but he was teaching me about tuning and helping me become a better tuner. And so yeah, shout out to all my people that helped me to be what I am.
Hell yeah.
So
find your group. Like,
yes,
your group is the most important thing.
And you know what? We don't always like get along the greatest. Like, especially when we're driving. Like, me and Fredo Chan, we bump heads like crazy on the track. You know what I mean? He's competitive. I'm competitive. We go at it. But at the end of the day, he's a killer driver. I respect the shit out of him. You know what I mean? And I respect all my peoples that are trying to kill it. And trying to elevate the scene, so.
Yeah. We've got some questions. Aldo L Creator says or asks, what has been the best style of dampers you like to run, Brett?
Yeah, the nerds. The nerds have been but that's for rear suspension. But my go-tos, like for the money, would be the Overdose HGs, by a mile.
Gotcha. HG2, HG3.
You know, the HG3 is better in the sense you can see your droop adjustment on it, but either or.
Gotcha. Okay. And then from RC Supremacy, pre-predictions, where does Brett think he stacks up with Rio and OD Boys next month at Cross Games? What are your goals?
Oh, I want to smoke them. Yeah.
Hell yeah. America, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best I can say is like, they got to battle me. You know, like I said, they got to battle the driver. I've been training a long time. Like, to give you guys a sense of how much I practiced, on one of my first remote, which was a Sanwa MT44, I got 1,600 hours on that shit.
Yeah, dude.
1,600 hours. So anybody who wants some, come get it. You know what I mean? Like, I've been training for these days. You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to say that I'm better than these guys or whatever. We're just going to have to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
we'll find out.
The way these competitions are, man, anything can happen. So
yes.
Yeah.
I'm not too focused. Like, I'm not thinking about them every day. I'm not that tight. Like I said, I'm just keep my mind clear.
Yeah.
And yeah, my goal is to smoke them. Yeah. I want to smoke the shit out of them.
I'll be rooting for Team America on that one. I think we do. There will be a little bit of a home field advantage, right? Like, even if they have driven similar tracks, obviously the same tile, but it's still just like, they're out of their element a little bit.
They're out of their element in the sense that they're out of country, but they're designing the track, their rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They run Japanese P-tile.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in Japan. I know that he's going to be testing the track, helping them to get the track the way they need it. So, in all realness, the uphill battle is more towards us. Like, it's going to be an uphill battle for us because their drivers are going to be helping them get that track together. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I see that.
So, and like I said, it's going to be all their style, all their everything. You know, I'm pretty sure I know exactly the style of track it's going to be. And I've been training backies for years. You know what I mean? So if they want to do it, and I can chase the shit out of any backy. You know what I mean? So whatever they do, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. You know, whatever style they want to run, whatever they want to do. I mean, I'm just going to mimic their style. Whatever style they do, I'm going to mimic that shit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then, yeah. And, you know, like I said, I mean, their rule set's their rule set. You got to run their rules. They have it the way they want. I'm hoping that they do the zone angle matches and stuff like that. You know, I think that's important. And I've been seeing in their videos lately, they've been doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it removes a big gray area, especially for the judges. And the judging in Japan's kind of lax too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have noticed that, especially lately, the biggest comparison between what you see in the U.S. and overstates, in full scale drifting too, is like their positioning of their chase is much. It's okay to be a little shallower and a little less angle.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Even in their leads.
Yeah.
Like they literally race car drive away from each other a lot. Like I've watched a lot of videos of all these guys, the Japanese guys, you know, and yeah, I mean, I see what's going on. I can drive that style easily. And this is the only thing is can they keep up with it like I can keep up with it, or can I keep up with it like they can keep up with it?
Yeah, I think
so
it will be.
Find out.
It will be interesting to see those first few laps of like, oh shit, somebody's way faster, or maybe everyone will be pretty close. I hope the latter.
I've watched them. If your car can take the angles like it's supposed to, there's a certain speed it is not going to go past. It's not going to go past it. It will not go. The car will be gripped up at that point. They're going to have trouble with it. So it does get to a point where the cars aren't going really any faster per se. Like, it's going to be the driver driving that car fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
my cars are on the edge of being too grippy.
Yeah.
Like, so for a car to be faster, it's like super rare. And if they're on that edge too,
yeah,
then we'll be close to each other.
Yeah, totally. There's absolutely like physical limits of how fast, and everybody should be within a certain percentage of that. So it just comes down to the driver.
Exactly. Like, it's a very small margin of the speed difference, you know? And if you're a good driver, the way I look at it is proximity is the number one goal. You got to keep up. You know what I mean? They're going to judge your angle in chase but they're literally judging. I was going to say this. They are literally judging how well you can do the angles and all that. Proximity shouldn't even be a thought. You should just be there. Like, if you're taking angles, if a guy's 2 feet ahead of you and you're doing angles at the same time as him, you are not close enough to be running his angles like that. You need to get close and then try to run his angles. That's how we're going to judge this battle. Proximity is the number one. I would rather watch a guy drive straight behind a guy that he can't keep up with and keep up with them than to get gapped by a block.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
That I cannot judge. It's like, bro, you got smoked like so bad. You let him gap you like that?
Yeah.
You should have straightened the fuck out and kept up with that shit.
Yeah, because I think there's an art to knowing how to catch up when you're slower. You know what I mean?
And dude,
100.
some of these cars I go against, some of them feel faster in areas than mine. Like, mine will be faster in certain areas, and then their cars will be faster in areas than mine. So I have to adapt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm not going to be able to get that angle match if I'm trying to keep up.
I think that's my biggest contention with the way the kind of the rules were going was like, you know, the trade-off of a car that's like within very close proximity but not quite the same angle versus a car that's further back but matching. It's like, you know,
well,
we have to decide where that's better.
If they're within like 6 inches of a car, and they're angle matching, to me it's the same as a pizza cutter chase. That's what you call pizza cutter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're gonna do both. It is what it is. You're gonna pizza cutter and then try to get the angle matches as best as can. That's all I want to see. I'd rather watch somebody pizza cut or T-bone a guy than to get gapped by him.
And be way back. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
For
6 inches is cool. But if you're this far apart,
you should be closer.
You're like this angle matching, and he's been on your shit the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you weren't close enough to him.
You weren't even really engaged in the battle at that point.
Exactly. It's like you're too far away. You need to get close to the guy. He needs to feel pressure by you.
Yeah.
If he's not feeling any pressure, you're losing.
Yeah.
We need this guy to feel pressured by you. That's where the lead cars make mistakes and shit. But when you're gapped by a block, the lead car is just like
out there driving, whatever.
Miss Daisy like nothing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So proximity being number one, the angle match being number two.
Totally. It'll be exciting to watch that whole event go down.
Yeah, I'm curious, dude, because those tires, you know what I mean? Like the tires on that surface. I hear things about them, but no one has definitively really told me what they're like. They say there's more forward bite, but then sideways there's a lot of, it's like way more slippery. So I don't know what to expect. But I'll tell you guys like this, I'm going to be tuning the shit out of my car to make it work, or I'm not going to just set it on the track and expect that shit to work.
Yeah.
Now when I'm trying to keep up with the world champions,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Now when I'm kind of driving for world champs, so, you know, you got to give them that respect too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, these dudes are champions, so don't sleep.
For
I
sure.
want to smoke them, but I ain't sleeping on them at all.
No, you can't.
I don't even sleep on the guys that I'm beating. Jason Fordyce, Justin Wilming, Fredo Chen, none of them.
No,
I
yeah.
will not sleep on any of them, bro. I
No.
don't sleep on any of them.
Well, yeah, in drift in general, like anybody can beat you on any given day. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's tough. It's hard.
It's hard, you know. So I'm open-minded. You know, right now, you know, I'm the champ. I'm considered the best, but that don't mean that I can't lose. And then somebody else becomes the best.
Yep.
Because that's how we judge who's the best, like who wins, who won.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So someone
Yeah.
beats me. It doesn't even matter if it's the championship. If they beat me or they won that competition that I'm in, they're the best. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
They're the best.
That's fair.
You know what I
I
mean?
think it you know, the body of work says a lot. Like, you know, your whole career, I think, says a lot about where you stand as a driver too. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, anybody can lose to anybody. You can beat yourself. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's happened too many times. I beat myself. Like, I spent the first 2-3 years competing at Super G, just beating myself. Like, never feeling like, oh, that guy legitly got me. Like, fuck, I fucked that up. I hit the wall. You know what I mean? I missed the clip. I hit him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
never, oh, like we had, like I did a clean run. They did a clean run, and I was like, oh, shit, he smoked me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now, last year I did lose where I was like, okay, I lost that. A couple times I was like, I legit lost that. There was a couple of them where I was like, nah, I smoked him though. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? But there was a couple where I legit felt like I lost. You know? So I was like, yo, I lost that. I mean, Fredo Chin, they made us go one more time on a battle, and I was like, shit, I lost that though. I legitimately was like, my car had in the CLSD had a collapsed spring in it. You know, the little spring. I didn't know what was going on with my car. I could not figure it out. You know what I mean? And he was flicking the zone so sick with it. I was like, I would have had a hard time with that shit if my car was running good. So since my car wasn't running that good and he was flicking the car like that, I was like, I lost. I straight up lost that. You know what I mean? Like, I lost.
That touches on a good point that you like. Sometimes it's going to go your way and sometimes it's not. For the most part, it's always going to balance out. So when it doesn't go your way, like that's the name of the game, I think.
Just accept that shit and move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like crying and complaining about it, and it's like, bro, who gives a shit? You lost. Move on. Next round. Don't make sure that shit don't happen again. And then it happens again, and you just at that time, it's like people will think, oh, you're taking it as a big deal. It's like, yo, it's a big deal. I don't want to lose, but once I lose, it's done. Forget about it. I'll get them. I'm gonna try to get them next time. You know what I mean? And there's we can session and I can rip them or whatever, but that ain't the competition. Until I beat this motherfucker in the competition, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, yeah. Driving, you know, fun laps is a totally different ball game, and everyone is way better in that you know context. And yeah, doing any competition is a totally different thing.
Because they're not stressing, bro. You know what I mean? Like competitions are stressful, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
you got one shot.
Like actually, you only have one shot.
Yeah.
But
you have to even if you like, I mean, God bless everyone that doesn't at Super G, everyone that doesn't make it into the top 32. Like that path is so gnarly. Like you have to go so many battles and then you immediately go top qualifier.
You don't want to be in the bottom bracket. I'm telling you right now.
It's really bad.
It's terrible. You don't know what you're going to get. At least in the top 32, you kind of know what you're going to get. In the bottom, those bottom brackets, you have no idea.
Yeah.
What these guys are going to do, bro.
Yeah. And then you have
some of them are good drivers. So are they going to are they going to be good? Or are they going to suck? What's going to happen? Because they're not consistent. But it's not to take away the fact that some of these dudes don't drive good.
Yeah.
It's just which one am I getting right now?
Yeah. And then you can work your way all the way up, but like the first, even if you do win 10, 15 battles or whatever it is, your first battle will be against a top qualifier. It's like,
Fuck.
bro.
Nobody wants to, not even me. I ain't trying to go against top qualifier first round. And I'm in the top 32. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually you can tell what kind of day these guys are going to have by the qualifying rounds.
Yeah.
Most of the guys that are in the top, I would say maybe 10 of the qualifying, you can kind of tell what kind of day they're going to be having and who's going to be where. The rest of them, you can pretty much count on are not going. One of those guys, most of those guys aren't going to be in the top. You'll be lucky if they are.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the. It's going to be that top 10 qualifying. They're in the tops.
Yeah. Yeah. When you do well in qualifying, it helps your confidence, and two, it's just like you're dialed in that day, and things are gonna be. You're gonna be a little more consistent, and you can make stuff happen.
And qualifying is the most stressful part of the comp for me.
Same.
Once I make it past those,
yeah,
I feel great.
Yeah,
like my confidence is high, but when I have to do that lap by myself, like I'm almost better lead when someone's chasing me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel like because I don't want this motherfucker on my shit, I have to be on point. Whereas when you do it by yourself, it's easy to not be on point, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, even when you're leading someone, even though you're leading, they're still kind of like a frame of reference for you when you're driving. So like when there's nobody behind you, then it's just like, it's all up to you.
It's open, yeah. So, yeah, that's the most stressful part for me for sure. Like,
agreed.
I mean, I would like to get top qualifier at SG one of these times. You know, I've had a couple where I thought I might have did it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to get into the battles. That's the most important thing for me. You know, just get into the battles.
Yep.
And once that happens, a lot of stress is pulled off my shoulders. You know?
Yeah. Totally.
It's like those are the icebreaker rounds, man. It sucks that they have qualifying as your icebreaker. You know what I mean? Like your hand's shaking, you're shaking. Like, you know, I pinch my arm against my body. I set my control on my leg. I pinch my other arm so that everything that's shaking around it is not going to affect my driving, you know? And a lot of times, like, my mind forgets, like, how to drift. Like, when I'm on the line. And it's my hand that does it all. Like, these are what does it all. And my mind is just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like,
I see that.
What the fuck is going on right now? Like, I'm on this fucking dude's door, but my mind is literally holding on to this fucking wild horse. Like, and it's my hands acting all wild.
Yep.
You know what I mean? My mind is like, calm down. And the hands are like, fuck that. You know, like it's the idle hands. You know?
Yep. I totally have that. Like, it's almost, if it's really bad, it's almost like when you're doing your qualifying, it's like, I don't even know who's driving right now. Like, what's happening?
I'm numb. Like, I'm so numb. It's a trip, you know? That's why I don't touch my trigger at all until the green light goes. So I always put my finger on the side of it, and then when it gets the bump, 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 boom, because I'll be sitting there with the finger taking on the throttle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even at the highest levels, we're shaking too. We're shaking just like everybody else, bro.
Yeah. We've discussed that a lot, but like I learned over the last year and such, like the nervousness and the shakes never really, you know, they've been worse before, but like it never really goes away. You just kind of learn how to deal with it, I guess.
Yes.
Learn how to drive with it.
And that's why I reiterate, like keeping my mind clear until I step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be off on the side shaking too.
Yeah. You can totally work yourself up before the run. And I do that. I do this. I do this thing where it's like, I play it cool. Like I try to just downplay everything until it's just like I'm like nothing's happening, and then inevitably every time when the qualifying starts, it's like, oh shit, here we go, fuck.
Yeah, it's always a oh shit, oh fuck.
Yeah.
We're all going through that. Trust me when I tell you. Like people will be like, yo, like you guys are so comfortable. It's like that's just a visual look to you, but inside,
Yeah.
I'm fucking quaking right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
so that's why I try not to like focus on anything till my name gets called. Then I get called, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
doing all the checklist to keep my nerves intact. You know?
Yeah.
And dude, sometimes my hand will be shaking the whole time while I'm chasing these guys. And I'm like, I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Been there.
Yeah. I've had
know what I mean?
multiple
Like-
battles where you can literally hear my throttle like.
I've done it in qualifying. I'm like sitting there shaking on throttle. Like,
Yep.
it's like a good qualifying run, but you can hear my throttle.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
that ain't just me, man. I hear it in all the good drivers' throttle, bro.
It's the built-in rev limiter. Is that what I'm hearing?
It is. It is
Yeah.
like a built-in low key. It's like a really turned down low rev limiter. You know.
Okay,
So,
you guys.
I see the wheels shaking too. Like, you know, their front wheels are shaking
Yeah.
while they're driving. You can see it where you'll drive with these guys all the time. You never see that. But then in their
Christopher.
laps, you see the wheel shaking. They're doing everything though. They're
It's
on the
just something-
walls. They're killing it. But there's a slight shake in that wheel. You know what I mean?
Something different when it's all on the line.
For
Christopher
sure.
Hawkins. And don't forget to blink and breathe.
Yeah.
Like, there are
Blink and
times.
breathe. Yeah.
There are times where you just decide not to breathe for a
Well, the
bit.
blinking one is bad when you're just like doing hot
Don't-
laps.
You cannot blink. Yeah, that's one of the things you cannot do. When you're doing these comps, do not blink. When you blink, something happens. Something happens. You just got to keep your eyes open and clear for 30 seconds, dude. You know what I mean? 35 seconds. If you blink, more times than not, shit happens.
Crazy.
Okay, you guys. It is 10:58, so it is that time. We didn't do Roast My Rig, which is totally fine. We'll catch up with that next week. However, there weren't very many entries anyway. I do want to leave you with this, though. This one's a bit crazy. From Wavy Sliders.
Oh my god.
So he says,
Holy cow.
no rig, but something even worse. Stock transmission RDX top shaft with an 8 months of 3 to 5 days a week for a minimum of 2 hours or more of drive time each day.
Nice.
Crazy part, plastic stock idler gear are working with nominal wear and tear. No crazy crashes or nothing.
So he's saying that the idler gears are good, but that wasn't?
Right, but if they're plastic, something else is wrong.
Yeah, the physics doesn't really work out with that.
I mean, I've seen some crazy shit like in the Sharks.
Yeah.
Like the top shaft, that happens to the top shaft, and the plastic gears are fine still. Like, how?
I don't understand.
How? It happened to my boys. Literally, my boy in AZ. His top shaft fucking completely descended, like looked like that right there, but his plastic gears were fine. Beats the shit out of me.
That must be some really soft aluminum. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it's like
Maybe
If you get,
maybe
like,
they get hot. Maybe they
hot or, like,
the heat.
if there's like metal shavings in the gear train and it's like combined with a little bit of just grime, it just like works like a sandpaper almost. I don't know. I have no fucking idea. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen that a bunch of times. Yeah. I mean, my boy Raymond literally breaks the shaft right off the rotors of the fucking motors.
That we've seen.
Yeah.
We kind of guy.
Like crazy.
We've got a guy.
He
We got a
eventually
guy that
stopped-
does that.
Dude, he eventually kind of stopped buying motors and just kind of takes donations of people who who got motors they don't like anymore. It doesn't matter what size it is.
we got a guy who's taking a break because that keeps happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he's going hard then. Whatever he's doing, going ham.
He says he's pretty soft on it, but I don't know.
Really?
We all beg to differ.
Yeah,
I think the motors tell the story, buddy.
they definitely. He might. Sometimes guys, when they get into the straight, they like floor it, like as if it's almost like a real car. And I notice when guys do that in the straight, a lot of times it breaks their motors easy. Trying to floor it all the way through the straight.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had those problems. And
Yeah,
I
it's
hope I
never happened
never
to me.
will have those problems.
Yeah, I can't lie. Lately I've been blowing some motors. I've blown up probably 4 this year alone.
Jeez.
Yeah, the high angle driving is hard on the cars. You know, like and if you take angle too early, like you gotta like commit to that shit.
Yeah.
So if the angle's high and you can't go low throttle, you have to floor that motherfucker all the way through the clip. You know what I mean? Like commit is the word, you know?
100.
commit,
Yeah.
Break your shit, man. So I've been there.
All right, Brett.
Last year I went through like 5 motors, so yeah.
All right, Brett. Well, thanks for coming on the stream. It's been fun.
Yo,
that's for sure.
Thank you guys for having me.
We
Yeah,
got
it's
a
a good
lot
show.
of lot of good insight, a lot of good
Absolutely.
conversation in the chat too.
Yeah.
Things that I just want to bring up, and I should have brought up like at the beginning of the stream. We are thinking about not thinking, but we'll probably end up moving the stream over to a Thursday night platform from like 7 to 9, shorter hour or a shorter block. So we need to figure some stuff out for that. But this is the end of the stream. If you do the things like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, maybe sharing would be nice. Yeah. Brett, where can we find you on your socials?
Yeah, you guys got my Instagram, the US Drip King, and then on Facebook it's just Brett Trevino.
Oh, how did you land on the Pee Wee Herman picture?
All right. So my boy actually made the Facebook page for me.
Okay.
This was like in 2012, but when I was a kid, everybody told me, I look like Pee Wee Herman. And then,
Okay.
so I just kind of stuck with it, and I always had that attitude. Well, I know you are, but what am I? You know what I mean? And so when he found that pic and put it on there, I was like, bro, that's perfect. And I never took it off.
Right on.
And it kind of looks like me, so you know what I mean? It looked like a real picture of me, so I was like, yo, this is cool.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for having a really successful stream tonight. Got a lot of viewers, got a lot of views. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
And yeah, we will catch you guys next week. Next week is Mitch Liu from Rolling Garage.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. All right.
All right, fellas. Appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yes,
Later.
sir. Hey.